Are you all right, Colonel?
Yeah, I'm fine. Except, it's a terrible day for rain.
What do you mean? It's not raining.
Yes, it is.
Oh, so it is. Why don't we head back? It's getting chilly out here.
Are you even really a streamer if you don't run an ad while you're stream spamming on all the socials? Are you really even a streamer? And that's what we're going to answer today here on TravTalks. Hi, my name is Travis, SuperTrav, Travioli if you're feeling spicy. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome to all the new homies who have rolled up, or some of the old homies, or some of the lurky homies. We love you all. Thank you all for being here. Today is TravTalks, which means that, as it turns out, in real life, I am a therapist. I know. But as it turns out, in real life, I'm a therapist, and I like to talk about mental health. Matter of fact, I talk about mental health a lot, practically every day, like it's my job. So what I wanted to do was to invite a lot of new creators and a lot of old creators and people from every walk of life and talk about the content creation journey. There's a lot that goes into content creation, and a lot of it is stuff that doesn't get talked about because social media, where most of it takes place, is a lot of highlights. We talk about the good shit a lot of the time, unless you're on Twitter. But we talk about the good shit a lot of the time, and therefore we get to talk about some of the things that might be a little bit harder. Maybe how do I make it in this gigantic world of Twitch streaming or of content creation in general? What's it like to create TikToks on the side? And what's it like to try and run a Discord and all these things that we kind of like to explore, all different realms, all these different things. So today, I have a fun guest. That's right. This isn't just Travis Talks. This is Trav Talks with other people. So what happens is we get to talk a little bit about some stuff. There's a Q&A at the end, and the questions can be questions about yourself, or they could be questions about other streamers. They can be questions that are related to what we've been talking about or not what we've been talking about. I guess Jax wanted to say hi. Apologies for that if you can hear him. And yeah, I say we get this started. And by get this started, I mean we have the spooky bees somewhere in the distance. Where? Are you there, God? It's me, Trav. Can you hear us out there? Maybe?
Perhaps.
Oh my God. Oh, wow. Very deep down in there. Wow. It's the spooky bees. That's the one. Like over there. Like over, it's crazy.
It is the spooky bees. It's not God. I'm sorry to have disappointed anybody.
You could be God.
Ariana Grande said God is a woman, so.
And listen, banger.
Hello, all.
Hello, spooky bees. Would you like to introduce yourself to anybody else?
Sure. Yeah, I can give you guys the.
Also, people are asking if you can turn yourself up a bit.
Yes. Okay. I will turn myself up, and I will move my mic closer. Is this better?
It's a little bit better for me. I turned down the music, and I can turn you up again as well. All right, let's keep going, and please let me know of any audio issues. Thank you, audience.
Yes. Okay, so I'll give you guys the spiel. You know, when new people come to my channel, I'll give you the Spooky Bees lowdown. So for those of you who do not know me, I am Spooky Bees. You may call me Spooky, you may call me Bees, but do not call me late for dinner. I am a scare streamer, and I hang around the hive with my skeleton pals, two of whom are currently occupied, but I have one back here with me. If you've been to my channel at any point or seen any of my TikToks, you might know Befferson B. Bones. There's one rule with Befferson, and it's do not lend him money. My whole thing is I like to play indie horror games. I like to get scared. Lots of redeems on my channels to play lots of really scary sounds to scare me further. We have a good time. We beat the demons by giving them funny names and having a general shenanigans good time.
Yeah, that was a fantastic introduction. It's not just the skeleton of Mark Andrews?
It's not. There's two other skeletons. There's Kevin, who usually holds my wine, his little skeleton wine glass, and then there's Jeremy, who you might be able to see back there, but I don't know if I've quite got him in frame. He is the willing prisoner of the hive. We just ask that you don't king shame him. That's what he's into, you know? So.
Wait, what? Okay, so if kink shaming is the kink,
I, he's. Can you quite see him back there? No, I don't know if you can. He's hanging off a picture frame. He's the first skeleton that I collected in my.
I can kind of see him
group of
back there a little bit.
Skeletons, yeah. But Befferson's really, he's the moneymaker. He's who everybody comes to see. My daughter
Sure.
says that really I should just let him run my channel because that's what anybody cares about.
And
sounded
my
nice from a 10-year-old.
yeah, and my chat tells me that Chair should run my channel. So, and that's hurtful, but understandable at the same time. So I wanted to just start at the beginning. What started you in the content creation world? What was like was there somebody who was like, you should do this? Was it like you walked into a room, sat down at an RGB desktop and were like, this is happening? Like how did it go?
I was drawn in by the LED lights. No.
Always.
I was a longtime Twitch watcher, but I didn't think I was ever going to really be brave enough to do it. So I kind of did like some TikTok stuff as far as like content creation. I did book talk for a little while and I had some ground there. And that was fun, but I really wanted to do gaming stuff. But it kind of almost was accidental. Like, so we had a group of girls that we all played Dead by Daylight together and we played Among Us and stuff. And so there were some girls who maybe couldn't make it into the lobby or there were too many of us. And so I started streaming as just a way for everybody to watch the game that was being played and still get to hang out, even though we weren't all able to play the game together.
Mhm.
And then it just sort of started from there. And then like a couple of other girls started streaming and then we kind of all started like a little streaming collective together.
Ooh.
And it was like, wow, I can actually maybe do this and have some fun doing it. So then we started taking it a little more seriously, and here we are, like 2.5 years later. And it's evolved a lot, and now there's an entire room in my house dedicated to it, and a 5-foot plastic skeleton. So it's been quite the journey.
Plastic?
Real bone.
Looks pretty real to me.
Stole him from a grave. Yeah.
Looks pretty real
The
to me.
mustache is definitely real.
You stole what are you from Repo? Anyway, I love Repo. I'm not even gonna hate on it. So you decided, like, you were just like, I enjoy watching it, but like I kind of want to like show other people.
Yeah, I just figured, why not? The worst case is that nobody watched it, and the best case is that somebody watched it. I think my thing has always been, and my friends will tell you that this is true, is everything I do is to make my friends laugh. Like, I will film an entire podcast with a skeleton and I'm talking to myself the whole time, and like it seems really insane, but like I just want to get my friends to laugh.
Yeah.
I just want them to be like, my god, that's so silly. So yeah, that's always the ultimate goal. It's never been about like, my gosh, I want to be so super internet famous. Like, I just want to make people laugh.
I mean, we could kind of be internet famous. I mean, the thing that I've always noticed is because you're so inundated with numbers when it comes to content creation, like the huge numbers seem really small.
I mean, I remember when the idea of being an affiliate was like the hardest thing in the world. Like, you want me to get 3 people to sit down and watch me consistently? That's insane.
For hours?
Yeah, for hours? What? I will say, though, that I think the smartest thing that I ever did was I just turned stats off when I stream, because looking at it made me so nuts. Like, oh my gosh, did I say something that I've watched my number drop? You know what I mean? Like, you can't have fun while you're sitting there watching that fluctuation. It becomes not fun anymore. And then I'm not being funny, and then my goal's not being met because my friends aren't laughing at me.
Yeah. So when it was Tank Bros, and I don't know how much you know about Tank Bros, but when it was Cam and I doing Tank Bros together, that was an argument between us because I noticed that I kept watching it. I was always looking at it. And like we would make a joke and then it would dive by like 2 or 3 people and I'd be like, oh my God, like I'm gonna have to like look
really
back
hard
at
to be
that moment
authentic.
in stream and I'm gonna have to be like, okay, what part of the joke was it a bad joke? Was it racist? Like what did I do wrong? It was never racist. It was never anything like that. It's just the way of it. And so now I've turned it off since I'm by myself. And yeah, I've noticed that I don't even think about it. I
look at the stats when they're emailed to me at the end, and I can assess it from there whether I felt like it was successful or not successful, and make it a point to rewatch a lot of my VODs because I think that's how I do better as far as like my setup and stuff and making
Yeah.
sure that things are working the way that I want them. So like I'm always analyzing it in that way. I don't need to be analyzing it in the moment because then I'm just not being myself. And
Right.
that was definitely like a rule for me in the beginning was like, as soon as this stops being fun, I don't want to do it anymore. Like, nope.
That is the exact wording that I used, like, I think on the last TravTalks, which was like, if this ever becomes not fun, like, I'm done.
doing it.
I'm done. I don't. Half the time I'm just up here making myself giggle, and it turns out that other people are laughing too. So like, what more do I need, you know?
Yep, that is all I want is to make somebody smile. And if I make one person smile, then I've done what I set out to do. And that's
Yeah.
a small, manageable, achievable goal.
Hey, goal setting.
Yeah.
Goal setting, absolutely. So the goal originally, like you said, was to just, I'm gonna get out there, I'm gonna put myself on camera and make my friends giggle.
Yeah, and just, you know, we would send each other funny clips from the streams. I
Mhm.
mean, again, it was always just we were playing games sometimes that didn't allow for more than 4 people. And so we
Right.
wanted everybody to watch though, and I think this is before we realized that this was something that you could stream probably in Discord. So like I
Sure.
was like, oh, screw it, I'll just throw it on, you know, on Twitch, and we sort of started it that way, and then it evolved, and it was nice that we all kind of did it together too. There was 4 of us that all decided we were gonna get real serious about streaming at the same time, so we were able to kind of help push each other and, you know, hold each other accountable and stuff. So
Right.
that was fun.
Totally. And when do you feel like having those kind of friends like around you, those kinds of fellow content creators, has helped, hindered? Like, what ways have they done both? You know, I wonder if there are both. Not hating anyone. You don't have to be like, you know, specifically. No, like.
Yeah. No, there have been moments where I think that we have all helped each other, and I think that there have been moments where we've maybe held each other back a little bit, only
Mhm.
because we were navigating a space we weren't super sure about.
Sure.
And figuring out there was a time where our audiences were all of the same people. So
Right.
if you're streaming on Monday, I can't stream on Monday because nobody's gonna come watch me because that, you know what I mean? So I don't want to say that there was conflict, but there was definitely like business meetings almost that needed
Sure.
to be had between the 4 of us to figure out how we were going to move forward. And now that we've all kind of established our own communities with our own people, that's kind of not a thing that we even think about anymore. And I think there was a time where we all kind of almost stepped away from it collectively, like we all just kind of need to go do our own thing once we'd established affiliateship and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
I think it made us better friends and stronger, and now we're like each other's biggest supporters. And I think that we've widened our circles too, because
Yeah.
I've, you know, met some amazing people because my friends have said, hey, come do this thing with me, who have absolutely inspired me and made me a better content creator in the process. So
Yeah. So
but
like, go ahead. Sorry.
it's definitely a thing that can like, it does test friendships for sure.
Oh yeah. And firsthand, I know that from the Tank Bros era of, and that was the biggest reason we ended, was because we were like, no, our friendship is way more important than
Yeah.
making funnies online that people are gonna fucking forget about. You know, like.
Yep. And I think, yeah, Sarah said it. Was a smart move. She was part of the group of girls, and I think, yeah, we all definitely stepped back. And I think that, like I said, our friends, we talk constantly, like all day long in the group chat. It's disgusting. Like nobody should be in communication that much. But like it definitely did help for us to kind of be like, you know what, the streaming thing has to be something separate from our friendship, and we just kind of have to do it on our own a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's such an important thing to tell a lot of people who are getting into streaming. And like a big draw of streaming crowds is like playing games that require multiple people. So like COD and Dead by Daylight, and those are like really big popular games that require multiple people.
Yes. And we do still do those collaborative things.
Yeah.
Just not as much or as in abundance, you know?
Sure, yeah. And figuring out kind of like that balance of, all right, what's going to be for me and what's going to be for, say, kind of the collective or whatever. Do you all four of y'all have like a group name?
We did a long time ago. It's since disbanded.
Disbanded? Oh no.
Yeah, yeah.
Who's the
we,
Justin Timberlake? What happened?
It wasn't, again, it was just that we had established separate communities, and it almost made sense for us to stop having like a group community.
Sure.
And for us to create our own discords and have our own spaces and kind of curate our own content in that way. Where we weren't stepping on each other's toes and stuff like that. But yeah, we did. we were the horror hose, which is, yeah, so clever, so classy.
Love it, honestly.
Yeah, but what mostly we did was play Dead by Daylight, but we've all since moved on from that by a lot. So I think most of Dead by Daylight's community has done the same.
But my goodness, Dead by Daylight has a community and a half. Like,
I've never seen so many people simultaneously hate and love something, and it's just
Right.
like, pick one.
right, like I had like it's a fun game. I'm a terrible survivor, by the way. I'm terrible at it. I'm a pretty decent killer though. I'm pretty good at that. But that's by myself. Like, it's like I'm all right at that.
Customs is fun when you're just playing with people that you know.
We're playing with homies, yeah.
Yeah, that's always a good time, but playing with other people that you don't know, that it's just so stressful, and then people get mad at you like if you don't play it good enough, and I'm just like, I thought this was supposed to be like a silly fun game.
This is a video game, y'all know that, right? Like,
I don't think they do.
This is a video game. It's meant for entertainment purposes.
Yeah, DVD Twitter is, I mean, I watch it from afar, and
Sure.
I'm just like, man, I'm glad I don't play that anymore.
It is one of those communities that I found myself like, because I would be like, all right, well, now that I'm by myself and I'm not doing 1,000 collab streams, let's just run some killer matches and just kind of have fun and whatever. And I don't know how much some of the people here have like watched my channel, but I'm way more in it for like the goofs and like the fucking around type stuff. But like I'd have people like come to the channel like after a match and be like, why did you do this? What's wrong with you? And like, how dare you just like goof off? And I'm like, it's in the title, man. It's a game.
Yep. That's and that was the other one. There was one time I did it was like a community challenge where I would play killer because I don't normally, and so I'm awful at it. Mostly I just chase people around and I sing silly songs at them. I wish they could hear me.
It's too bad, huh?
But yeah, it's just a real shame. But yeah, I had somebody come in and then came into the channel and was just like, not nice in the round, and then not nice in my channel, and I'm just like, for why?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah. Like, I let you guys escape. I wasn't really in it for like, I wasn't trying to sweaty kill you. Like, I just wanted to have a good time. And again, I was trying to just make people laugh. And I'm sorry that went way over your head.
Yeah, relax. Like take a breather. Stand up, maybe.
Okay.
Stand up from your desk.
Go outside.
You could go outside. I don't know where in the world you are, but like go ahead and open a window, maybe.
Yeah, some fresh air.
It is amazing to me to see this, like you said, like it's so simultaneously like loved and hated by the same exact people.
Yeah, and here's the thing: is like when I hate a game, I just don't play it anymore.
Right.
And that does not seem to be the case for this
Like,
particular
this
community.
Isn't fucking fun, you know?
They hate it. They're mad. The mechanics are broken, and then they log in and they sit down and play it for hours. And I'm just like, this isn't gonna work, guys. You gotta pick one.
Yeah, like, oh my god. There was a point, and I've told this story on stream before, but when I was in college, I did competitive Smash Brothers, and another community that simultaneously hates their game. But I love it, and it's always been fun to me. And so it was a local tournament, not local as in like area. So like it was like the Eastern Washington tournament. And there's nobody in Eastern Washington, so it was the local tournament. But I was matched up against this like middle-aged guy, probably in his like 40s, near 50, like, and I'm like, whatever, like I'm here to have fun. And I won, and long story short, won the round. And they allow you to bring your own controller, and he whipped the controller at the monitor in front of him, broke the monitor. And I stood up from the chair because like you're supposed to do your little goofy little esports handshake at the end. You're supposed to be like, yeah, good game, right? But I stood up and I was like, you're like fucking 40. What the fuck? I was like, relax, man.
Yeah.
If you truly hate this game,
don't play it anymore.
Do something else.
Pick a new hobby.
Pick any other game.
Yeah, maybe something calming. Just a suggestion. Bird watching, maybe.
It's insane. Go play Power Wash, man. That's calming. Like, man, we love that game. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's like the perfect before bed game because it's just like ASMR and it just
it allows my mind to get to very strange places that I didn't kind of know existed. It's like dusting off, just like, hey, remember that couch that you peed on when you were 10? That was weird. like, oh yeah, what the, you know?
Yeah, it's fun with friends too. I mean,
yeah,
you can draw the biggest, you know, most phallic mural, and that is the game, you know?
Right. Who's gonna win, and am I gonna put it on Laura Croft's mansion?
Exactly. Who's getting the biggest, widest wall first?
Right. I got to run to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's, you know, it really is one of those games. It's just, it brings you that feeling. Yeah. So the horror hose, you decided kind of like, we're going to go our separate ways, but like remain as homies.
Oh yeah.
Because that's way more important.
Way more important.
Way more important.
Yeah.
Are y'all local to each other? Y'all from like, how'd y'all meet?
So, hey Sarah, you want to take this one? No, that's like an insane question. So, one of the girls involved is actually my cousin. And so she invited me to play a game of Among Us with a bunch of other girls that she was gaming with. And I couldn't find anybody to play with me. This was like at the height of Among Us. So this will tell you how long ago this was. And she was like, oh, come play with us. And I joined this group and I met all of these wonderful people.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just sort of stuck around. They all knew each other through a K-pop group called BTS. I did not know anything about it, but they embraced me as the one-off and allowed me to play with them. And through this scenario, I've met some of my very best friends. And that is how we all met as a collective and started gaming together. And then we sort of branched off from there and, you know, started doing our own thing and, you know, started streaming more seriously. You know, and then, like I said, our content also kind of split off in that, like, we all do very different things now. I stayed very much like in the pure horror lane. You know, and these lovely ladies do a lot of wonderfully cool, talented stuff outside of that. You know, they dabble in the horror still, but I kept it very spooky, scary.
Yeah, absolutely. What kind of draws you to? I mean, you even kept it in your name. Like, what draws you to the world of horror?
I've always been a big horror movie buff. The first movie that like I have recollection of seeing was Dawn of the Dead, the old one. When I was
the Romero one, yeah.
Yeah, my dad was a really big horror movie guy, and so it was always scary movies in the house, The Blob, and, you know, Army of Darkness, Evil Dead, all that stuff. He was like the classic horror movie guy, so it was just a part of my life.
Totally.
And I stayed that way too. Like, I love horror movies. I like scary stuff. I like the adrenaline rush of being scared.
Sure.
And then I started playing some of, you know, the more bigger horror game titles, and then I ended up falling into mortuary assistant demos. So this was like back before it was even a real game.
Right.
And I played it and I was like, this is super cool. And then I realized that there was like a whole market of games that were kind of the same thing, like these really niche hour-long horror games
Yeah.
where like somebody pours all of their like darkest demons into a video game and they said, here you go, play it.
Yeah.
And I love that stuff because it's weird and it's funny and sometimes it's so off the wall, but it's great and I loved it. And then I just sort of started following that indie rabbit hole.
Mhm.
The opportunity to play somebody's game that maybe doesn't have like a ton of attention to it is always fun. Not that I'm going to give it any more attention, but
Right.
if 3 more people look at it and play it, then maybe I've helped a little bit.
Right. And like the game's only like $2 or whatever, so it's just like, hey,
Yeah, a Steam sale, I'll come away like a bandit. Those games are on sale for like 75 cents.
it's one
But I love
happening
the
right now.
nerds. I know. Look, they've already robbed me blind. We don't have to. But yeah, I love the scary stuff, and I like being scared, and I like giving demons silly names, and it's always a good time, and that's always just been my thing, which is so weird because like I also love cozy games.
Sure.
Stardew Valley girl. We got a new update coming out, so I'll be
True.
deep in my Stardew Valley hole for a long time.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like you got the battle within, there's 2 wolves inside you and all that.
And they're both just won't stop fucking. Yeah, it's very this thing that came up recently, and I work with children, like kids from like 6 years old all the way up to like 18, 19, basically like up until like the end of high school kids. And there is recently, and this is just kind of a trend that I've noticed, is like these little kids who are really into horror stuff.
Yes.
And there's like this like commodification of it, like it's becoming popular.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's
Weirdly.
like a Five Nights at Freddy's like thing.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
But like Poppy's
which-
Playtime.
Yeah, I feel like it started in like the Five Nights at Freddy's world, and then it
No
like
doubt.
branched out from there. My daughter's very into Five Nights at Freddy's, so
Mhm.
I've got all the lore. It's been told to me for hours on end. But I think it's really cool. I think it's a neat idea. It's weird to me that she likes to play it because she does not like scary stuff.
Sure.
And even I don't love to play that game. Like, it freaks me out. And I don't super love the story behind it either. It's kind of terrible.
It's pretty
but
dark.
yeah, it definitely, like, kids are very much like into that stuff these days, like, by a lot.
Yeah. I just noticed, like, I was at the mall recently. I know, aging myself a little, but I was at the mall and there was a kiosk that had just like Poppy and Kissy, and like they were dolls.
Yeah.
And I was like, do
so
parents
strange.
just not know? Like, because like exposing these little kids is like can be traumatizing.
Oh yeah, I mean, there was certainly a lot of stuff in horror movies that I saw that I'm sure, like live in my brain rent free from being a kid.
Yeah.
So I definitely, it was one of those things where like, and I think it's just because it comes up on the YouTube and all that other stuff. Like, you can't not see it, but I didn't let her play it till she was a little bit older
Yeah.
and could kind of wrap her head around it. But I mean, there are times where she'll come to me and say, hey, I've got a new game that you should play. And she'll show me on the Steam store, oh, this game is really popular on YouTube right now. You should play this one. And I'm just like, it's my little manager. Like,
Thanks for
So,
keeping up on
yeah.
trends. Thank you.
yeah, she's like, oh no, this one's doing great on shorts. You should play this game, Mom. Like,
Check out Markiplier. He knows what he's doing. Yeah. Totally, right? There's some about the popularity of it growing, but also not. Like, I don't know, because there's still the kind of stigma against it, like, oh, I don't play horror games, they're too scary, whatever. And then like these tiny children
Yeah.
who come into my office and they're like, do you know Five Nights at Freddy's? And I'm like, yeah.
And you're like, William Afton killed those kids. And you're like, okay.
You're like, he sure did.
Sure
He wasn't a
did.
good guy. And they're like, no, but he was doing it because of this. And I'm like, it doesn't make him okay. Like,
No, yeah, that's bad.
murder's bad. Sorry, kiddo. Yeah, and I've noticed that kind of, I don't know, because I wonder if content creation has kind of that effect on making those. I mean, obviously, if Markiplier plays anything, it's going to get a huge boost, right?
Oh, of course. I mean, when he played Five Nights at Freddy's at first, it was not really anything.
That, yeah, he was a huge catalyst in it, right? And then you have, say Jacksepticeye and these other like really large creators playing these horror games, and their audience is like mainly, this age range, and you're like, my goodness, like, I don't know. As I guess as a parent, I'm not a parent, but I'm a child therapist. Like, how do you kind of view that, and how do you kind of?
I mean, I think the most important thing is just doing your due diligence and knowing what it is that your kids are consuming in online media.
Mhm.
There are kid settings on YouTube, and you can absolutely put them on, and it will absolutely curb what they can and cannot see.
The amount of times
we're-
I've explained this to parents.
yeah, it's actually super easy to use.
Yeah.
But the good thing is that, like, she's sort of aged out of that a little bit, but I still make it a point to, it's a shared YouTube, so I can go back through the history and see everything
Mhm.
that's been watched. Because there have been sometimes where she's scared herself a little bit, and it's just like, so maybe you went down a rabbit hole. It was a little too intense, and we need
Mhm.
to figure out how to back it up now. I It's so funny to me because she'll watch people play these games, but she won't sit down and watch a scary movie with me. That's where the line is absolutely drawn. Like, so she's still experiencing that fear, but like, so she's not completely desensitized, and I don't know, it's just so strange. But I do think that ultimately, like, you just have to know what your kids are doing. Like, there are things they can see and things they can't see, and it stops and ends with you.
Kind
You
of,
know?
right? Yeah. I end up having to kind of go through and tell parents, like, they're gonna find it. Okay. Like,
Oh yeah.
they're gonna kind of seek it out. Like, I don't remember if you know, I don't know if you remember Sonic.exe. Like,
Yeah.
like it, and like I remember watching one as an adult and being like, whoa, like, it got me a little bit. But as like a little kid consuming, just like, straight up just looking for Sonic, like,
Yeah. The internet is a wild and insane place, and you really just have to be aware that not everything is created with them in mind.
right.
Like I said, the parental controls, they've been locked down for a long time. Only recently have we kind of just been like, okay, like, you are now at a point where you can be given trust to consume responsibly, the kind of media that interests you.
Yeah.
Because again, I would be a hypocrite if I said you can't play scary games. That's all I do.
Right.
So, like, absolutely not. But again, there are certain games that I've certainly walked away from, and I've felt uneasy, and that have made me feel some kind of way, where it's just like it sat with me for days, and I can manage that because I'm an adult, but a
Right.
kid
I can
can't.
compartmentalize and
Yeah. I can sit there and hope that dev got into therapy and that they're doing okay now.
they're doing
But,
all right, right? Yes, of course, of course. Yeah, there was I'm trying to it was Fears to Fathom. Fears to Fathom, which are all like based on these like kind of mostly true stories, right? And I remember being like, wow, it sounds that like this actually happening would be terrifying.
Yeah, it'd be really scary. I get more upset, like demon stuff is really like what scares me. Not even like the true stuff. Like, it's the
Supernatural.
hellscapes that freak me out. There's a game, Markiplier played it, and I believe so did I feel like all of the big guys did play it. From the Darkness, which
Mhm.
was like one of the very few games that like actually I walked away from being like, that was really uncomfortable and awful, and I hated it. I'm gonna play it again. But yeah, that one was really it gets in your head, you know, and like and the stuff is coming through the headphones, and it was just it was a
Yeah.
lot.
One of the things that I remember reading I don't remember if it was like a interview I watched or read or something, but it was John Carpenter talking about how sound is generally what makes
Oh yeah,
horror.
I can fully, absolutely agree with that.
Like
Yeah.
something jumping on screen is like can be like, but like with like a sting and an orchestra or something like that, then it's like,
Oh yeah.
oh my god, like that's because it hits all your senses, and then you're coming through these like gamer headphones, like and it like encapsulates everything.
Yes. And there are some that are so intentionally like it plays in your right ear and not your left, and it's just like, and then you hear a knock and you look behind you and it, you know,
Right.
it really, you look behind you and there's a skeleton and that's even more scary. Yeah, but I mean, also I love it, and I can't like, I want to see it. I want to know what's behind the scary door, what's in the dark hallway. I want to
Right.
find out.
So so it was just quite literally just part of your kind of like life growing up.
Yeah, it's always, like I said, my dad was really big into it, and then I got really big into it. My family is all really big horror movie people, and like mostly it was for making fun of. You know, I might be aging myself here, but back in the day, Mystery Science Theater 3000 used to do a double feature on sci-fi on Sundays.
Yes.
And that was me and my dad's thing, is we would sit down for the double feature. Crow is my boy. And we would watch it and we would make fun of it with them. And then we would watch horror movies that weren't in that format, and we would say that we were Mystery Science Theater 3000. We would make fun of them. And so like that's kind of the way that I consume that media now, is that like I think it's hilarious. I'm laughing the whole time. I sat in a Saw movie premiere one night. It was a midnight release. Me and my friend went, and I was dying laughing the whole time. And I think everyone around me was really concerned. But it's just so ridiculous and over the top.
Saw got that way. Like the first Saw, incredible, right? First Saw is a masterpiece thriller, right? Then they kind of just get goofier and goofier.
And it's like, how do you jump the shark in this particular scenario? Like everyone ends where they like reveal that it was actually somebody else the whole time.
Yeah.
It's so silly. But I love it. And I go and I see every single one when they release, like a weirdo, because it's fantastic. And, you know, my boyfriend jokes with me. He's like, you're the reason they keep making those movies. And I'm like, yeah, thank God.
Good. Good. Keep it going. Yeah,
so
Spiral was okay, I guess.
They tried. They really did. You know, and I don't always love like the gory torture stuff. Like that's, I want something with a little bit more depth, but like they've gotten so silly. Like he's been in every single movie, but like the main guy, but he's been dead since like movie 3.
Yeah. Well, 4 was like
outrageous.
the prequel, so like of course you like, okay, that one he's in, and then it's like 5, but then there's all like flashbacks.
Oh yeah.
Dude's been dead, you know.
They're keeping him in work. So
I'm sure he doesn't mind. He's like shows up for like a day and a half of filming, and they're like, cool.
yep, right.
And he
See you
has
next
like
year.
and he gets like top billing and like huge paychecks, and he's like, meh.
I love it. It's terrible and it's silly, but I can't get enough of it. And that's definitely...
Is Saw like favorite series? Do you have a favorite series?
I mean, my favorite probably horror movie of all time is easy Evil Dead and all of its subsequent movies. Which I think, I love that the first one was maybe not meant to be silly, but it was so ridiculous that it ended up being silly.
It was silly.
And then they like ran with it, and they were like, all right, well, if we're doing kitsch and we're doing camp, then let's just lean into it.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful disaster. I love those movies. And Bruce Campbell is just the manliest of men.
Yeah. He truly. Truly, as I sit here with painted nails and long hair. Yeah, it's very yeah, absolutely. Are you a slasher person?
I do love slashers, which is what I think drew me to Dead by Daylight initially. Was my love of slashers, and that they had like all the classic slashers in it. That was always really fun. Love getting chased by Ghostface. It's my favorite.
Okay. Is Ghosty the fave?
Oh yeah, I have like a collection of Ghostface t-shirts that when I first started dating my boyfriend, he was like, "How many Ghostface t-shirts do you have?" Because I would always have different one on. Yeah, I love him. He's great.
That's true. I mean, and that's awesome. Now, is Ghostface the scariest slasher?
I don't think he's the scariest. He's definitely the girls love him. I love him too.
They do. I mean, you can't. It's the Matthew Lillard effect, I think.
Oh, for sure. It's funny because so when we started playing, we would always, when we would find a ghost face, we would chase him around instead of letting him chase us around, because that's what you do,
Right.
And there was a clip of me referring to him as Ghostface Daddy, and I posted it on Instagram, and this was when I had like really first started like taking my content from Twitch and like realizing that you kind of had to clip it and post it other places for it to get traction, to really get people to look at your stuff.
Yeah, I guess. Right. Of course.
Yeah, right. Managing the social media is probably like the most exhausting part, because there's so many platforms that you have to move your stuff to. But yeah, this gentleman, this was again very early on. I don't think I'd even reached affiliate yet. I was just sort of goofing around, and I posted that clip, and he sent me 7 videos, not 2 videos, not 5 videos. He sent me 7 videos explaining to me why that kind of content was inappropriate and boring for a woman to make, and that, if I really wanted to make it, I had to set myself apart from the rest of these, types of girls, and that if I stuck with him, he had 150 followers on Twitch, which he said, those were his words, not mine, and that he would help me. He got affiliate in 3 months, and that he could help me get there even faster if I just listened to his advice.
This is not where I expected this story to go, but keep going.
Oh yeah, and stopped calling people daddy on the internet, and that was really eye-opening for, like, again, being like fresh into this whole Twitch thing, and I was just like, what the and that was kind of my first experience with that, not my last. And that was really insane to me. Like, I couldn't believe that people were just like bold enough to just be like, I'm going to DM you all of my thoughts in video format, 7 of them. You will listen to them.
I mean,
stick with me, kid.
I mean, after 2, I'd be like, well, I'm in it for the long haul,
Oh yeah. Well, I had to see it all the way through, and then I had to screen record it so I could send it to my friends. But
of course. Hold on, let me save these really quick, man. He's really this advice for free.
Yeah. Look, if I just stick with it, I too can have 150 followers on the internet.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I'm like curious myself now. That's amazing. And I think, unfortunately, that is a side effect of being femme presenting online, is this weird unsolicited thing. The most that I've gotten from dudes is them being pissed off that I wasn't a woman. Like, because I was in my maid outfit and I was doing a dating sim.
It's amazing.
And they came in and then heard my voice and was just like, oh, why are you dressed up like that?
I came here for something different.
So I'm like, oh, sorry. Did you have your dick in your hand? I mean, you can keep it there.
Yeah. Or put it away. Up to you, really, at this point.
Your call, man. Feel free to follow. But yeah, that is just that really unfortunate side effect that no matter how big you get.
And it was strange to me because it was like a consequence that I didn't consider until that moment. And I was just like, oh my God, like, this is so weird. And then like I started talking to kind of other creators, and they were like, oh, that happens to me all of the time. And I'm like, weird. And stuff like that, I will say, definitely like affected the way I evolved my content. Because kind of at first, you really just sort of like, you're sort of just doing stuff, you're seeing what works. And I was having fun with it, and I would get dressed up and I would put on my makeup and I would feel really cool about myself. And then somebody would say something awful and inappropriate, and I'd be like, okay. And then you kind of close off a little bit. And I think a lot of people forget, and maybe and I'm sure it happens to everybody at some point in this content creation space, is that like the little person that's in the box in the corner of a video game, you know, you're seeing a curated version of that person. You
Right.
don't know them, and they're a whole person outside of that. And when you say stuff that affects them in their everyday life, you know, and that was something that I struggled with a lot in the beginning,
Mhm.
because I had to kind of tone down who I was being or who I was, because it was upsetting people to some degree, you know. The boobs are stealing the views, you know, and we got to do something about it.
My tits are the reason that people come to my show, so I get it, but like,
Yeah, it's the most insane take, and it's like, you're here watching, so obviously it's doing something for you.
it's one of the two. They're either
Yeah.
stealing the views or they are bringing the views in. So what is it? You know?
Yeah, and it's like this weird, and it's always a person who has like no about me in their profile, and they've got no, you know, they stream and it's silent and there's no cam and it's just them playing a game, and it's like, maybe if your content was interesting, people would come watch it. But it's not about boobs. But like it really, it shook me up, but I kept pressing on after that. And then there came a time where, you know, there were people who were in my community who started becoming inappropriate again, because there's like also the weird parasocial aspect of these things where it's
Yes.
like, you think you know somebody, and then you can just sort of say stuff to them, and again, that stuff would happen, and then I would close it up a little bit more, and it got to a point where I kind of stopped streaming like altogether for a little while, because being perceived became too much.
Okay.
I remember sharing this feeling with a friend where I was just kind of like, I don't like the way that people are speaking to me, and I don't, you know, they're not being respectful of my person. And they said kind of, well, you're responsible for how you present yourself on the internet, therefore you're responsible for how they're reacting to you, so maybe you should reassess the way that you're presenting yourself. Exactly. That was, and I was like, well, that feels icky,
That
because
is
it's
icky.
like, yeah. And I was like, that's not, and it affected me greatly. It made me really rethink a lot of my content and a lot of what I was doing. And I ended up kind of doing this whole rebrand, and I kind of locked down my life, you know, because there were people who were being inappropriate who were blocked, and this was before Twitch changed it, where you couldn't, where you could still see people even if you were banned from their chats,
Right.
which
You could
was
still
terrible
watch
and
it,
awful.
but not chat, which was like, that's not really a block, but okay.
Yeah, and I ended up with a little bit of like a stalker situation,
Mm.
and this person would watch my content even though they were banned, and so I just became so aware of being perceived that like I just kind of stopped altogether. It gave me a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
And so I sort of shifted all of my content, and I moved away from stuff, and I had my, you know, conversation with my mods where I was like, don't talk about my personal life, don't talk about my kid, don't talk about anything, because anything you say about me can be used by people to find me, to see me, to, you know, and that's not, it became not fun anymore, which was always my thing. When it's not fun, I'm not doing it.
Right. 100%.
And so I stopped for a little while, you know, and it wasn't until I got invited to do a raid train that I kind of started getting back into a little bit.
Right.
And like I said, I was revamping my content a lot, and I sing her praises all the time, anytime I get the opportunity to, and I can't help myself. But the person I was raiding into was Ari, and I remember I raided into her, and I was so blown away by her content and her community and the way that she engaged with people, and I was like, I want to be just like her. Like, how do I find that?
I've had
You
Ari
know,
on the show. It was incredible. She's
she is
awesome.
yeah, she's such a wonderful, sweet person, and she is always so wonderful in her advice, and she's always so encouraging. And you
Mhm.
know, she's had me on her mental health rate trains, which have been amazing too.
Same. Yeah.
And I think since that's been like the first time that I've really opened myself back up again.
Mhm.
You know, to kind of let people back into my space after that collection of incidences.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, it's been an interesting journey, but I'm happy with where my content is now. It's just, I definitely feel like I had to present a more toned down version of myself to
Mhm.
be accepted and to kind of thwart those things before they happen, kind of, which
Gotcha.
is it's kind of sad,
Yeah.
that's how it has to be sometimes.
Yeah, I've found that it's definitely more common again for femme presenting people online for there to be these very strange, not good parasocial things to happen. I've had a couple I've had some weird people. I've had some people who I have no idea why why they were drawn to my community, but they were here and then they hated everything that we stood for, and it was very strange. But it was but the whole idea was okay, but that's when I hear Ari, or I hear other people talk about their parasocial experiences, I'm like, man, I've had it easy over here. I've had it pretty easy. I nobody has really nobody's stalked me. Nobody's even really tried, Have you even met some people from the chat in real life? And I've been everything's fine. And again, total male privilege. Absolutely understand it. I'm also about 6 feet tall and 200 pounds. I'm a big person. I don't fit in a trunk very well. There's a lot of privilege that I have there, and I come to it and I go, man, it is wild and so sad that it still exists just to be femme presenting online. You might not even identify as female. And here you go.
Yeah, especially if you're in a position where you're just where you're owning your sexuality, you're owning who you are, and
Identity.
if I want to wear clothes in a certain way, it shouldn't be up for scrutiny.
Right.
But it is, and it's not only up for scrutiny, with peers who become, like I said, parasocial and kind of don't know where the line is, and they think they have all this access to you. And it also becomes an issue with your peers who then become judgmental about the way that you're representing yourself online, because they don't quite understand, because it's not how they would do it. But everybody does everything differently, and who cares? Why?
Right.
Why does it upset people so much how you choose to present your content? But it sure
or yourself,
does.
right?
Or yourself, but it definitely does, and it's. Oh, Charlie's coming. Oh no, Charlie's not coming. My cat turns off my computer all the time. He's fine though. He's at my feet.
What a guy, huh?
He's the worst.
There's a reason I have to keep the door closed, because Jax likes to try and come up under this desk, and that's where all the cords are.
Oh yeah. So yeah, it was definitely an interesting journey from there to here. But I definitely am more comfortable just being myself, and I've kind of removed. But that's the thing, is I did change stuff to fit around that, and I wonder sometimes what my content and what that kind of thing would have looked like if I had just sort of stayed the course that I was going down.
Right.
Who knows? That's would have, could have, should have. But it was definitely eye-opening to be in that space for the first time and to receive these things. I mean, even playing a game and someone wants to tell you how to play it, and you're playing it wrong, and I was playing Little Nightmares, which is a game I've played probably
I love that
20
game.
times
So
start
cute.
to finish. Love that game. It's a nice stream game because you can finish it all in one stream usually.
And really gross. There's some very gross parts to that game too.
There are some super wonderfully gross parts in the game. And a gentleman came into my chat and decided that he was going to explain to me how to play the game, and explain to me what he thought that the lore. I mean, it's an incredibly vague game on purpose. They kind of want you to fill in the blanks on your own and
Right.
figure out what the story
Right.
is. And he wanted to tell me what he knew the story was, and that anything that I thought different was wrong. And it was crazy. It was one of those things that was just so strange. And it's just like, why do you think that you can just talk to strangers this way?
Yeah. Again, another thing that I've seen in almost exclusively femme presenting people's chats is coming in and like, this is how Final Fantasy works or whatever. And she like, say it's, I don't know, somebody who is exclusively plays those kinds of games. And you're like, oh my God, like,
Yeah, it's so crazy.
how do you think you are so self-important to have the confidence of just a mediocre white guy? Like, what is that? Like,
I would love even an ounce. Let me get the audacity for 2
please,
seconds.
like, what is that even like? I doubt myself waking up in the morning. Like, it's wild.
And like for somebody who already deals with like imposter syndrome in just like my regular life, like
Sure.
it created, you know, a lot of like doubt in like, what am I doing here? You know, do I belong in this space? Am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? And I think ultimately the thing I've come away with is there's no right or wrong way to do it. You hit live and you try to have fun, and you hope that people have fun with you. And that's really like, it's not a magic secret formula. No matter what they say on Twitter, no matter how many threads where they're like, this is how you become a pro streamer.
Oh,
have fun.
my favorite my favorite things are those advices, which is why like I've written those tweets that like look like things, but it's just like, streamers like go into other channels and ask for their raid, you know, like things like that. And because they like, these people are going out there and feeling like, I know what to do.
Oh yeah.
I'm ultra mega famous.
Yeah. That guy had 7 videos worth of advice for me about how I was gonna, if I just stuck with him, you know, he was gonna get me where I needed to go.
Yeah. And you know what's so crazy is having 150 followers as he had. Did 150 people show up to his channel every time?
No, probably not.
Probably
But
not.
as the girls will absolutely tell you, is I made it my mission to get to affiliate faster than he said he did.
Yeah.
And with more followers, and it was like the fuel that I needed to just, oh man, and I did it faster than he did. And
Yeah.
I considered unblocking him to be like, hey, by the way, if you stick with me, maybe I can show you how to do
Check it out,
this."
bro.
Yeah, check it out.
Check it out. Here's 7 videos of me just telling you show titty. And
Be more interesting, be
Bro.
hotter. I don't know.
get better.
Mhm.
I feel like it's a pretty simple concept.
Get good is a complete sentence.
It truly is. So is no.
Yeah.
So that is something that I've found is such a thing for just the femme presenting streamers and content creators, is there's always somebody who thinks that they know better. And like the worst that I've gotten is just people being like, you're setting men back by dressing that way. And I'm just like, did it work? You know?
Yeah.
Like, is that why you're upset? Because you got turned on? Is that what happened? It's fine. Do you need to talk about it? I'm a therapist. But yeah, it's very like, and I've seen that in all the realms. Like you see that even in Hollywood, when you have somebody like a female or a femme presenting lead in a movie, those movies don't do as well, or they like, people are like, well, I can't, you know. It's just something else, man.
I mean, the Barbie discourse was enough for me to
I
really
love the Barbie
understand.
movie. It was so
Barbie movie
good.
was amazing.
It was so good.
amazing. And people, and the thing is nobody understood that it was one for everybody.
Yeah.
It was a movie for everyone. I think it touched on a lot of really important things, but it's just like, there was so much hatred about there being a female-centric movie that poked fun at men, I think, in a really harmless way.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
it just was a mirror. It showed some of these guys how they behave, and they didn't like it. But that should make you reflect on yourself.
That's how you can like, it's the same thing as like going into a room and just saying the words men are trash, and like that's how you can tell who's trash real quickly. Because it'll be like, well, not all men, bro. And you're like, that's it. You're the one. You're one.
Yeah. But somehow still always a man, you know? It's
Wild.
yeah, I mean, and it was it would definitely showed me a lot of unfortunate things on Twitter. I mean, Twitter in itself is an unfortunate place, and I can't look away, can't stop.
Yeah.
But yeah, it
Yeah.
definitely was hard to kind of swallow that, like, by presenting yourself in a public space, you were now up for public scrutiny, and you kind of just have to learn to shake it off, which
Yeah.
is terrible.
What's the quote? To be a woman is to perform, right?
Yep.
And 100% like recognize. Well, I try and do my best to recognize, like, I don't have that same scrutiny, like, or if I do, I don't know about it, you know, like, I know what's funny too is, like, the kids that I work with will always tell me I had one kid, it was like 2 weeks ago, and I just died laughing because it was just kind of like, I was just tired that day. I don't feel like I looked any different, but like this kid was like, "You're like tired and ugly today," and I was like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, nobody will humble you quite like a child will.
And I was just like, man, you really are 6 years old, aren't you?
Yeah, all the time. My daughter keeps me very humble. And
Yeah.
said she thinks that Jefferson should run the channel. I'm like, he doesn't like move. He's not alive. But she's like,
He doesn't
well, that's what people come to see.
Speak, technically.
We all pretend we can hear him though, so.
Oh, well, of course. Somebody's gonna hear him. Somebody's gonna hear him. Yes, and to find that constant pressure when you specifically are putting yourself out there as a femme presenting person. I imagine, like, I feel like you were saying, like, you had to like really reevaluate.
Yeah. I reevaluated the kind of people I wanted to watch my content.
Mhm.
And I realized that maybe some of the things I was doing were drawing in maybe a kind of crowd that I didn't want.
Okay.
Because of the way that they would speak to me and the parasocial aspect of it and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And so I stepped away for a little while and I took a little bit of a break. And I reevaluated what my redeems were, the kinds of things that we were joking about, all kinds of stuff. You know, right down to how I was dressing and how I was presenting myself on stream, which again is not, I'm not encouraging anybody to do that. Dress how you want and exist how you want. It was just I had become so uncomfortable in the space that I kind of had to close myself off a little bit, just if I was going to keep going. And I did all of those things, and then I came back to it kind of fresh, and I started, back at things again, and brought in a different crowd, and some really awesome people joined my community, and I felt a lot better about where things were going because I wasn't maybe meeting that as much anymore. Still happens from time to time. There's no way to fight it. Like, they're gonna show up. It is what it is. But I think I hard turned into one direction and then kind of had to also reel back from that and try to find a way to also still be a person and sometimes be a vulnerable person, because there is nothing wrong with sharing things with your community that you're comfortable sharing, and aspects about your life, because that's why I can go watch a Let's Play on YouTube. I want to watch a Twitch streamer because I want to see the person playing the game. I want to have those conversations with them, that interaction. It can't always be like this super closed off, like, you can know nothing about me. So I kind of had to find the balance, and it took a long time, and it took meeting some really awesome people. I started in that one retrain, and then I got invited to another one and another one after that, and I sort of just started branching out from there, and I found myself in these spaces with these like incredible content creators like sharing snacks and Droogle and Shoop, and they're all really wonderful, thoughtful content creators. And I was like, I feel like a very little fish in this pond, but I'm going to watch them all, and I'm going to see what they do, and I'm going to figure out how I can make that kind of stuff work for me.
Right.
And I learned so much in that space, and getting to know some of these people have taught me a ton.
Yeah.
And I think I'm comfortable in the balance I found now of being myself without, attracting the kind of thing that I was maybe, upsetting me before. But I've also learned how to just like block those people and move on, and not let it sit heavy on my mind. Because I think that thing that someone said to me where it was like, you're responsible for this, really, it weighed on me. And it took a long time for me to be like, I'm not responsible for this. This would have
No.
happened to me no matter what I was doing.
Right. I was gonna say it's wrong, but I can understand why it hit you so hard.
Yeah. Ultimately, I've learned to just do what makes me happy, and if that's not something that somebody likes, then they shouldn't watch my content, and they should find somebody else that makes them happy, and that's okay too.
Right. I tell people this fairly often is like there are so many content creators out there that you'll find the one that you like the most.
Okay.
I would love it if it were me.
It's okay. If
It
it's
might not be me. And that's okay. If I'm one of the content creators you like, wonderful. I would love that too. And I enjoy when I kind of enjoy that like, because there are so many of us. Like, I'm not gonna be Rare Gangster. I'm not gonna be Ari. I'm not gonna be Droogle. Like, even though I fall into that kind of same category as him, as just like white dude on the internet, but like he has a very curated type thing. That's not quite who I am. I'm more over this direction, and like that's okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna find the right people who I like this person, and you can pick and choose. Like I love Rare's energy, so I'm gonna borrow.
Be inspired by, as I always, yeah.
That's
I'm
a better way of putting it.
Yeah.
It's a better way of putting it. It's just like I'm gonna be inspired by this side, and I'm gonna be inspired by this thing, and I really like the way this person did this thing, and I love being a part of mental health things, because like that's a big part of who I am, and not only just the journey that I've been a part of, but also being able to show my knowledge. Like, yes, I'm
Absolutely.
goofy and I make cum jokes or whatever, but like I like want to be able to show the world like, and here's this really important thing that we should all be kind of focusing on a little bit more too.
Yeah. Absolutely. I feel like the mental health awareness stuff was really, I mean, I don't want to say it was life changing. I met so many awesome people, and I got to kind of break that barrier that I had put up around myself because of this fear that I'd created in this space with people who treated me a certain way.
Yeah.
I tossed it all aside and I said, screw it, I'm going to be vulnerable and I'm going to be honest, because I watched all these people be vulnerable and honest before me, and I was like, okay, I'm just gloves off, let's do it.
Yeah.
And it was so incredible, and people were so, and these were not necessarily people who normally watch my content or were in my channel or in my community, opened up and shared so much stuff with me, and I felt so honored that my being able to be vulnerable helped them be vulnerable, and we all got to be vulnerable together and cry in the club, and it was amazing.
Love crying in the club.
Love crying in the club.
Love crying in the club. The second they put on Usher, every time. But it's very, it was truly like the two that I've done with Ari, and the one that I did with a streamer who will not be named now, and then another one. I think actually you and I are in that same Discord of the streamer who will no longer be named.
Yes.
Well, the nickname
we were in
of
that train together.
Sketchy Clown, as it were.
Yes, that was. Whew.
Yeah. Sketchy Clown is the nickname I gave you, and then you turned out to be a sketchy fucking clown.
Way left field. Didn't see it coming. That was an explosive time on Twitter.
I'm not tooting my own horn, but there was always something I felt just like a little weird about.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
When I work against that I'm like, okay, let me give this person a chance, and then it reveals itself later I was right the whole time.
Right.
And that was like one of those scenarios where I was like, something feels weird.
Something's off.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. But everybody is vouching for this guy.
Yeah.
So many people vouch for this guy, and I was like, okay, maybe I'm just way off, dude.
Yeah. so many wonderful, like, nice, kind people were all like, no, no, no. Guy's great.
Right.
Yeah.
And
That
then,
was surprising.
and then it just exploded.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I would.
I wanted to like just go on Twitter and be like, I fucking knew it! Like just like really
Yeah.
like getting in people's faces, but I didn't. I was just kind of like, I'm gonna let y'all simmer on it.
Yeah, that was crazy. And a lot of, I mean, it spanned out into like multiple circles of people. It was just so intense. And I was
Oh my
just like,
gosh.
very much like on the fringes of it, because again, I was in these spaces, but I wasn't in the inner circle, so to say. But like,
Sure,
I
right.
was just like, oh my goodness. I would love to
Yeah.
see that Discord like revived to do something like good. Like, just
There's
one
a-
last hurrah to
There's a
do
lot of people in
something.
there. Like let's
There's
like,
a lot of people in there. Like, let's bring it so that we can do something awesome with it and like just change the tone, because it kind of like got really uncomfortable after that.
yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
I knew it. Like, it just drove me crazy.
But that goes to show you that it's just like, it's a little box and you only see so much of a person. And it's
Exactly. That
completely
curated side.
curated. Yeah, like you don't know what somebody does when they're not in their teeny tiny little box on, in the corner of a video game.
Yeah, and I'm like, God, it's just, it still gives me like that icky feeling.
Oh, the ick. Yeah, it's very real, because again, I was just like, some things just feel so weird here and I don't know what it is.
Right.
But it's good to know that my instincts are still intact.
I know, and I felt the same way. I was just like, oh, I should really, every time I should just trust that feeling.
Yeah, I go with that 30-second, like I get that gut and it's just go with it because it's usually right.
Yeah, like I've any creator that I felt that way about, I've been right about.
And it's a shame that creators use their platforms as means to, abuse and take advantage of others. It's just absolutely terrible. Again, initially, I'd like to think that everybody started doing this for the right reasons and for fun.
Yeah.
And it's like, where do we lose the plot that we're now using it for evil,
Where does the idea sneak into your head that all of a sudden, like, maybe we shouldn't just like abuse the not even real power that you have? Like,
Yeah.
I don't even like, I saw a meme the other day that was just like, MatPat from the Game Theorists ran a channel, a massively popular channel for 14 years and never touched anybody. It's that fucking easy. Like,
Yeah, it's that simple. Just don't abuse people. Like, if that's the one rule, then it shouldn't be this hard.
what do you mean? It's like, oh, I couldn't stop myself. Yes, you could have.
Yeah. Are you an adult? Like,
You had full control.
yeah. It's just part of why the internet is scary, and part of why this space is sometimes so scary, because you just never know about people.
Yeah.
And you don't know until you know, and at that point it's too late,
Right. And you also, and I don't know if you felt the same way, but I remember like, I don't want to like tell people I feel this way because I don't want to be like, oh, Travis, you're just being an asshole, or you're jealous. I got that one once when I told somebody about it, about Sketchy Clown. And I was like, they were like, you're just jealous that he's popular. And I was like, no, not
No.
really.
Yeah, and that too, especially when you're dealing with somebody who's, got quite the following and stuff. Their people go to bat for them really hard, and
Yeah.
that, which is again the parasocial thing, where it's just like, no, this is a bad person.
Yeah.
And just because you thought they were your friend, and I'm sorry that it ended up not being your friend.
Right.
But like, you can't ride this hard for somebody that you truly don't know. Like,
Yeah. Like if I fuck up, I'll look at the camera. If I fuck up, hold me the fuck accountable. Like,
Yeah.
drag me. Like, like really hold me accountable as somebody who fucked up.
Make a whole thread about it.
Yes,
Show
please.
me the receipts.
Please,
Like,
and then show me, like, be like, you said, and I'll be like, okay.
yeah, I'll be like, okay, I fucked up.
And I
Because
can
that's
either correct it or whatever. But wow.
yeah.
Wow, what a
It's
scenario that I'm glad that I didn't end up alone in, and also like kind of mad that I didn't end up alone in. I'm like,
yeah.
how many people felt this way and nobody said anything?
There was one person, and I obviously won't name names, but who was very loud about them in the weeks leading up to, and got kind of a really raw deal in that, because
Yes,
they got
yes.
very under the bust, and they ended up being 100% right, and that really sucks.
And I
that
know
went down
exactly who
that
you're
way.
talking about too.
Yep, I
So
figured you would. So, but I, obviously, I don't want to put anybody on the spot. But yeah, that was really, that was the first thing I thought. I was like, oh my god, they were right the whole time.
like, ah,
Yeah.
what? Oh man, and it's so, it's such a strange phenomenon that's created in not just the Twitch world, but any content creator world. Like the obviously this world that we're in, the streamer world that we're in, you know, like Dream and these other massive creators, we end up going, they end up getting in trouble or whatever, and there's still people that are like, but he's good, you know, like, but he makes me laugh, and it's like, okay,
Yeah. That doesn't make you a super great person by
yeah.
proxy, but whatever, I guess.
And generally the idea of like quote unquote cancel culture, I get, is kind of overblown and kind of this of an enigmatic kind of definition, but it's very it's like, but there's also like problematic people that we shouldn't give a platform to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially not when it can be a young and impressionable platform, for sure.
100%, yeah.
I mean, I'm old enough to remember the early days of YouTube, like the Wild West that was the internet, and like what all of that looked like as far as like young girls and these men that had platforms, and some of these women that had platforms that, groomed these kids, and it didn't come out until much, much later, and hindsight's 2020, but like now we have the tools and the capability to really look at it.
Yeah.
and we still don't. And that's the
Yeah.
part that kind of makes me nuts. It's just like still nobody's being critical of these people, and still nobody is vetting the people that we allow to have platforms, on these channels and in front of people. And some people's opinions suck, and you shouldn't be canceled for having a sucky opinion, I guess, but like
Sure,
you
yeah.
shouldn't be harmful to other people in any way.
No,
and
having
be
a
allowed to
sucky opinion
continue.
is one thing, absolutely.
Yeah.
Versus like having just like a, like I don't know, maybe for you, like it's like, I'm a Browns fan, you're like, that's a sucky opinion to have, but like,
Yeah.
go for it.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm not gonna cancel you for that. But maybe if you're just like, I think we should put children back in the mines, it's like, oh, okay, that's kind of a,
Yeah, it's probably a problem.
that's pretty problematic if you're like pro child labor. Yeah, and it's that was gross, BC. That and the I think that world of content creation is something that we absolutely should hold people accountable.
Oh yeah,
and hold ourselves accountable as well.
Fully. I think it's, like I said, the accountability piece has always made me examine my content and think about what I'm doing. I mean, I do play games that do sometimes have really intense themes.
Yes.
And so, like, before I play a game, I buy it, I download it, and then I go and I look up all the trigger warnings online. And some people who make horror content say, well, that spoils the game for me. I don't care. Spoil the game for me.
Yeah,
it's worse for me that I might accidentally trigger somebody or upset somebody with something that they see that they weren't prepared for, or that I wasn't prepared for.
Yeah.
And that's on me. It's my responsibility to not show you something that might be graphically too intense for you. And oh well, it got spoiled. That's life.
Yeah, I feel like yeah, the responsibility falls on the creator to just be like, here's the warning. Here's the warning. If you choose to continue to consume the content, I can't stop you, obviously. But like, I've been playing Final Fantasy 16 and there's like some seriously heavy things in there. You know, there's slavery and there's war and there's like SA stuff and there, you know, like there's some really awful stuff that's happened. So I like put out that warning to be like, hey, listen, this exists in the game. Just letting you know. Choose to do it if you wish.
Yeah.
And I imagine, especially in horror games, right? You probably have like,
there's some really, yeah.
Yeah,
depending on the game, there's a lot.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't stray away for horror games. I'm just kind of a baby. But there's there is like a couple that I've been asked to play and like kind of look at through like a therapist lens. So like I did that with the latest the free Silent Hill game that came out recently.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I could do that. It's still scary, but like, you know, it's okay. Yeah, we can do that. And then, but there's games like Martha is Dead, right?
Yeah.
Or the Suicide of Rachel Foster. Like, okay, we got to warn people, if not in the title, but we got to warn people that some heavy things might be coming your way on screen.
Yeah. I mean, I really ended up finding this through playing Mortuary Assistant specifically.
Yeah.
Because she deals the main character. At first I thought, oh, we're just going to be embalming bodies and like there's ghosts and it's whatever. But there's like a whole story that goes into this game.
Right,
like,
right.
It involves, you know, a character who's struggling with past drug use, who's struggling with a suicide attempt, a parental death. Like, I mean, the list went on, and they're random events, so you kind of have to be prepared for anything, you know. And
yeah.
It got to a point where like I could tell what was going to happen, and I'm like, all right, if this is sensitive, look away. Like,
yeah,
you know, avert your eyes now. Like, but a lot of those games do follow a lot of those themes because they want the shock value, which I understand.
Totally.
But, you know, at the same time, again, if somebody's coming into my channel, that imagine clicking into that for the first time and seeing something really horrible and just scarred forever. It'd be terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even as a mental health professional in that world, I would want to be able to like keep people as safe as possible. Again, your call if you want to consume this. Because the content's going to be there regardless, but it is your call. I even did it for like The Evil Within, you know?
Game.
You don't like it?
Oh, I do like it. It's so hard though.
It was difficult. And not only was it like it was like there were some moments that were like really, really difficult. And then my game had like a glitch or something where every time I died at this one boss, I had to like quit the game and restart it, reload it.
Oh no.
And eventually I died so much on that specific boss that I was like, forget it, I'm done.
Yeah, can't do it anywhere. No, I tried, and it's one of those games. I feel like oh gosh, what's the name of that game? I can't think of it now. Where it's like you have to sneak around a lot. I'm so terrible at being sneaky about stuff. Like,
right.
I just want to kick the door open.
Yeah, let me go in guns blazing, man.
Look that monster right in the face. Yeah, I don't want to sneak around. That's boring. Outlast, yes. BC, that's the one I was talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have not
You
played
can get a
Outlast.
weapon in that game. Oh, that's a fun one to play.
Is
Good
it?
time.
Is it scary?
Yeah. It's scary, but not like scary.
What's the level of scary versus scary?
I feel like, you know, if we're going from like really horrifically like bloody scary, it's not that. But
Okay.
it's definitely like stuff's chasing you and you're very much in a life or death scenario kind of scary.
My favorite slasher is Michael Myers, and it's not because of the movies specifically. It's because some of the movies are awful.
Oh, terrible.
They're terrible. They're so bad.
Terrible.
I still like Jamie Lee Curtis though. But either way, it's The scariest thing to me is no matter what you threw at Michael, he's coming.
Yep. No matter how fast you run, he's still right behind you, but he's walking. But he's behind you.
They dropped a burning house on this man, and he kind of just like pushed it off of him and was like, ow, and then like kept going. And that was terrifying to me. Like the idea that no matter what you do, no matter where you run, no matter where you hide, you're done.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, that got me. Like, because like Ghostface is kind of goofy in a way, because like the amount of times that Ghostface like falls down the stairs and other shit, like
ultimately he's just a guy.
He's just a guy, and he's like wearing a robe, and he's gonna fall. And
yeah, I mean, I guess he's technically two guys sometimes, but
in some of them, yeah.
Yeah, he's a regular person who can be killed. You know, when you start thinking about like Jason Voorhees, you know, he went to space and everything, and they still couldn't figure out how to take care of that problem. That's really scary.
Apparently, there was they tried to like explain why you can't kill Jason in the comics or whatever. They tried to do like, oh, it's because some demon thing, and you try to get resurrected, blah blah blah. And I was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
They're like, if there's a single cell of Jason left, he'll be reborn. And I'm like,
I feel like there was a Buffy the Vampire Slayer killer or big bad who was similar. They had to like split him up all over the world because he could never be together. He would fully regenerate, which was really silly.
You're like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I guess the Blob is that too.
Just give me the musical episode again, and we'll be good to go.
It's the only musical episode of television I accept.
What about the Scrubs one?
No, see, it's okay.
Not even the Scrubs one?
It's not bad because they did their own songs. So
yes,
for that I will allow it. But I mean, it's still Once More with Feeling forever and always.
Okay. Yes. And but Giles, right, is in Repo. So like,
oh, love Repo too.
Love Repo. Just watched it recently.
Yeah. Every now and again, I like trot it out, and I'm like, I love this movie.
It is.
Why don't I watch it more often?
It's a fantastic bad movie. You know, like.
Oh yeah, beautifully bad. I feel the same way about The Crow, to be completely honest, and I feel like them remaking it is painful for me because it's campy and it's bad and it's beautiful.
It's true, and I feel like they're making it a little more like superhero-y in this one.
And edgy. He's like,
oh yeah, brother. Yeah.
Jared Leto Joker version of Eric Draven.
Yeah, I'm like, I remember finishing the trailer with my partner, and we kind of looked at each other, and she was like, I've already watched it, so what are your thoughts? And I'm like, where was his guitar? Like,
yeah, he's got to play it on the roof and be sad. That's
where
the whole thing.
Like, where are my power
musician.
chords when he's about to kill someone? You know, like.
Yeah, he carries it around for like a third of the movie, does nothing with it. Like,
yeah,
but it's an important part of his character.
And soundtrack banging all the way through.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That Cure song, I think it's called Burn, is an amazing song. Yeah.
The whole soundtrack of The Crow from 1994. I get that it's been 30 years and like whatever, remake it, but like Yeah.
No, I don't get it. I refuse to accept it. Yes, Sarah's right. I've been so mad about it. I've been so mad and so loud about being mad about it. I used to have his poster above my bed.
Oh,
when
really?
I was a teenager. Yeah, it's like one of my, I would say probably top 3 favorite movies of all time.
Wow. Horror movies or movie movies?
Movies. Not horror movies.
Okay.
I feel like they exist in 2 different...
We're separate, okay.
We're separating, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Because I think, I mean, my number 1 favorite movie of all time, which is going to sound like the most insane,
Repo.
is Goodfellas.
Oh. Goodfellas?
Yeah.
Interesting choice.
I love a good mafia movie.
Interesting choice of all of them.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it's great.
I thought you were gonna hit me with like From Dusk Till Dawn or something. I would have been like, I'm sorry. Let's back it up for a second. Like,
But I feel like the horror movies have to go in their own genre because they're like, oh, they're so corny. Like if I was on a desert island, I probably wouldn't want to watch them every single day forever. You know?
Okay.
But yeah, what's yours?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know because I do love some horror movies, but I'm a big comedy guy. Like I like some good comedies. I know it's not a fantastic movie, but I really liked Bruce Almighty. Like that's what popped into my brain.
Movie. That's a good one. That's got rewatchability for sure.
That popped into my mind. We don't talk about the Evan Almighty or whatever, but
no. Yeah, we like Bruce Almighty.
That's a good one.
Grumbles. That is a good one.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like I can still quote a lot of that movie.
Yeah.
Back to you, fuckers. Yeah, like.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a fantastic one. What we're gonna do really quick is we're gonna take a quick little break. Run to the bathroom, fill up water bottles, all the stuff. Spooky might want to grab an energy drink just because I know you were like I start to wind down, but crank the little thing in the back up real quick.
Gotcha.
I have some more questions written down here, but I do want to also remind people that there is a Q&A at the end, and there can be the questions can be about what we've been talking about, not about what we've been talking about. Can be to me, to Spooky, to both of us. It can be, like I said, related to what we've been talking about or not. Like with Tabitha, I asked her what's her favorite second stage evolution of Pokemon. Like I was like, so like not Charizard, like what's the your favorite kind of Charmeleon? That's the second. It's in there. It's somewhere in there.
There's just so many of them anymore.
There is 9,000 Pokemon at this point. And I skipped some generations too. Like I didn't own a DS, so I had to skip some generations.
Oh no.
I know.
Those are some of the best ones.
I never owned them. They're all
getting remade anyway.
It's true. Yeah, Pearl and Diamond got remade. So did Sun and Moon, right? No, Sun and Moon are their own ones. No, they're not. Yes, they are? I don't remember.
Yeah, Sun and Moon are their own ones.
Oh my gosh. You can tell I skipped some generations because I went like from like Ruby to Shield. Like I went like so...
Oh my gosh. That's got to be like Whiplash. Like, you mean there's over 2,000 Pokemon now?
It's wild. It's wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, if anybody has those questions, feel free to save them until the Q&A. And then we'll be back in just a few minutes, everybody. See you soon. And we're back. Speak to us, Spooky. Are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear
Okay.
me?
I did not know that Mark Andrews' eyes lit up. That was something
Did
else.
Did I hit the button by accident?
Yeah.
That must have been a really terrifying moment.
Well, no, I was like, all right, I know I have a text or two to respond to, and I saw you like get up and it just, I was like, whoa, I didn't know that happened.
Yeah, he's got a button on the back and his eyes light up.
Wow.
Yeah, he was purchased for me the day after Halloween from a CVS, so he was severely discounted.
Of course.
Yeah, and he like came folded up in the box almost like a baby. It's quite the experience me and him have been through together.
And you were like, he looks cold. Let me put it on
What do
jersey.
you have a 5-foot skeleton for if you don't put clothes on him? He doesn't always wear the jersey.
Hmm.
He sometimes wears Hawaiian shirts.
Okay.
Sometimes he is in my mother has no idea like what it is that I do here. But she's so super supportive and made me with her Cricut an iron-on shirt that says Spooky Bees, and it's got 2
Aw.
little ghost bees on it, and so he'll wear that shirt sometimes. Depends on the
That's
activity.
really cute.
Yeah.
That's really cute. Anytime I tell my mom about this, I'm just like, Mom, I had my birthday celebration and we had like a lot of fun stuff happening, and I had like a bunch of shots and everyone was being so nice, and she's like, uh-huh. That's nice.
People in the room with you. Yeah. The jersey was a good luck thing. I thought that he was helping. It got to the point where they were doing so well that I was like, well, if I take the jersey off and they lose, then that'll be my fault. Because you
Of
can't
course.
watch football and not be superstitious.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
My superstition that I've been doing is I always match my team's jersey. So like if they're away and they're wearing their away jerseys, I gotta match it.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense.
You
For a
got
little
it.
while though, I thought I might have jinxed Mark Andrews by putting
Ooh,
his jersey on
fair.
the skeleton
True.
because he was hurt for like all the season.
Yeah, because he
I was
ripped
like,
his
"Oh, did I
his
fuck up?"
he ripped his Achilles in half or whatever. So
Yeah. So here's hoping that wasn't my fault.
yeah, Mark Andrews is like watching like, right, what the hell? Like
Yeah. He's like, what is this skeleton doing with a purple mustache and my jersey on?
like, and no wonder my legs hurt. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's not just from me carrying the entire receiving corps. Anyway. Just calling out Baltimore receivers and everyone else is like, okay.
we had some breakout stars this year. Next year's gonna be better. If it's not next year, I don't think it's ever. So
Okay.
yeah.
Your track record with receivers has been fantastic. So just a little banter. So something that we kind of dove into a little bit earlier was about kind of your mental health journey a little bit, and how it was affecting your mental health so much with, some of the negative feedback that you were getting, and the kind of just interactions you were having, and 7 videos of a guy telling you what to do, and like, so what are some of the things that kind of you like to include in kind of talking about your mental health journey?
I think a really important thing to understand is kind of where you came from.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think if you go into it and you've got some unresolved stuff, like that stuff will come up. I talked a lot in my segment on both raid trains about, kind of generational trauma and
Mhm.
CPTSD, and I'm a people pleaser by nature. That is,
Oh, yeah.
Or by nurture, if you really want to think about it. That's, how I was taught to behave. And so when people want things from me in these ways and in these spaces, it's hard for me to say no to people.
Yeah.
And like you said earlier, no is a complete sentence. It can just be no, but it's hard to say because you don't want to make anybody upset, because you've
Sure.
been conditioned your whole life to not upset people. So I think something that I've learned is like you have to kind of deal with that stuff first, because it's going to be amplified in this space because it's going to be reflected back at you in a really big way. And if you're not kind of prepared for it, even armed yourself, like it did damage, because I just wasn't ready for it because I hadn't existed in the space in this way. When I was doing book talk and stuff, that's you know, a much more delicate community. Everybody's there to talk about books, and it's just much nicer, and there's less competition. Everybody wants to help each other. So
What's that like?
it was, yeah, it was so strange. So like I thought that I was prepared because I was like, well, I've been doing this. This is kind of the same, and I wasn't.
What are the odds?
Yeah. Oops. So, that's definitely something that, I kind of had to deal with all that stuff first and then kind of work my way backwards almost.
Yeah. Yeah, and so that kind of, I imagine that it almost sounds whiplashy. Like you just kind of come from a space where everyone's helpful and kind, and the most that you probably get is, I don't really like that book, but you do you, like.
It was weird.
Versus, you're doing everything you've ever done in your entire life wrong.
Yep. And here's 7 videos about how you can do it better. And like,
you have boobs wrong,
Wrong. That was my first mistake. I started off wrong.
What was I thinking?
It's really just about, for me anyway, like I said, it was about learning to say no, about learning to put up those boundaries. And then it was about enforcing the boundaries, even if it hurts somebody's feelings, because that's such an uncomfortable thing to do. And I think sometimes too, as a woman too, you're also conditioned to not hurt anybody's feelings.
Very.
And to be pleasing to everyone so that you don't make waves or make people upset. And so I just didn't, and I wouldn't, and then I would be upset about it by myself, and that doesn't help anybody either.
Right.
So.
That people pleasing thing is a huge thing. And again, another, not something that I was really as conditioned to do, but still ended up being kind of told to do that, was that, like, just do what people ask, and no matter what, like, even if it kind of sucks, like, just do it and get it over with, whatever, right? And I imagine from the femme presenting side of things, there's a danger in it too, for especially, and it was just said in chat too, like, telling a man no has led to some awful things in history here.
Sure has.
Sure has.
And you think you're safe in your space because you're at your computer, but like,
right,
people find you. It's not as hard as it ought to be. And again, when you could be banned but still watch somebody's stream, who knows who's watching that you've upset, and they're looking for any kind of clue that they can find about where you are or who you are,
right,
so they can put that back at you. And it's just like, that's really scary to think that there's people just watching and waiting. It's terrifying.
It is a scary thought, no doubt. And like that kind of feeling of, I have to remain at a certain level of not just like, it's because it's not like secrecy, but it's like I have to like I think you said it really well earlier with a curated version. Like, I'm gonna fit in this box.
Yep. And you don't get to know anything else about my life.
Right. You don't get to
like
see anything beyond what I'm showing you with the camera.
Yeah. But like, that doesn't help anybody either, and that doesn't make you authentic to your community. It's not good for community building to be that way, because people do want to spend time with you, and people do want to get to know you, and there are people who genuinely, like, I have formed so many amazing friendships through Twitch and through streaming that I wouldn't want to be gone, but like, with that comes the danger of some of those other things and some of those more negative people. So it's just like, you kind of have to take both, and you just kind of have to learn to accept that it's gonna be that way. Unfortunately, sometimes you're gonna have to ban somebody, and sometimes you're gonna have to enforce a rule. And some people are perfectly lovely when you enforce a rule, because I don't think not everybody comes at something with malicious intent. Some people just make mistakes, and you say, hey, that upset me, or hey, you crossed a boundary, and they go, oh my god, I'm so sorry, and then they just never do it again. That's
It
not
could
to
be
say
that
every
simple.
person. It could be that simple. That's not to say that every single person who you run
Oh,
into.
sorry, dude.
Oh, well, he's done.
Oh,
All right. Well, it's not to say that every single person you run into is going to create a problem when you enforce a boundary, but it does
yeah.
happen.
And something where like I've like rarely I've had to be like, hey, like, listen, it's my first playthrough, let's not backseat. And I've had like one person be like, kind of push, I wasn't backseating, I was just telling you my experience. And I'm like, you told me what to do. You said go here and do the thing.
Yep, that's the same thing.
That's by definition.
Yep. And I've watched it happen to a lot of my, my friends too, where they've been playing a game and somebody pops into the chat and they're like, I have 1,000 hours in this game. Let me tell you all about it. And it's just like, big fat, who cares? Like,
Did I
just
ask?
because you have 1,000 hours in this game, yeah, that doesn't mean anything.
Did I ask? Oh.
Yeah. So it's definitely, like I said, it's been about, like I went hard one way and then I kind of brought it back, and like now I found a comfortable middle. And I would love to be able to offer the clear advice from the hindsight portion of it to everybody, which is
Sure.
just be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to make everybody happy. Some people are going to just be uncomfortable or be mean, and that's them, not you.
Have you found that, like, as a recovering people pleaser, like, I found that when I first started, like, even solo content creating, not even just with Tank Bros, but like with the solo content creating, I was like, I have to make my like content as like wide as possible, for everybody to enjoy, and like I should play like games with huge followings, and like that's it. If I want to play like a kind of niche game that no one knows about, doesn't matter. That's not up to me,
Yeah.
Have you found, I mean, even you said with the horror hose, you like started.
So we started playing really popular games, and then I did kind of cast like a wide net. I did like BioShock. I love those games personally, which is why I played them.
Right.
They are, I guess, have some horror elements, but they're not, I wouldn't call them true horror. But
Thriller?
yeah, I definitely tried to sort of, I guess.
Science fiction,
adventure.
kind of?
Definitely science fiction. I casted like a wide net to see what,
Right.
What there was. But once I kind of got into that niche, there's not, some of these games don't even have like categories on on Twitch that you can like link them under. But like, so what? They're fun and it's exciting, and like you're not gonna, I'm okay with the fact that you're not gonna come to me to see a specific game. You're gonna come to me to see, I found 3 games and we're gonna try all of them. And we're gonna see what sticks. Some of them are terrible, we quit them in the first 10 minutes, and some of them are amazing, we stick it all the way out.
Right.
But it definitely was hard because you want to do what people want to see, but it's like also, what do you want to make? What are you going to be most engaging when you're
100%.
making that content? And I think that's the part that I kind of took away from all of it, was just, if I'm going to be entertaining, it has to be something I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, I don't play Final Fantasy games. I have played privately,
Sure.
but I don't, you know what I mean? Like, it's not my thing, maybe, and I don't think I'd be entertaining to watch playing them because I would be mostly confused probably. So just because it's a popular thing for someone else to do doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for me. So
Mm-hmm.
do what's best for you.
Yeah, I found that like what I learned best was I'm gonna play games that I'm gonna enjoy, and therefore they're going to enjoy, because they're gonna see that I'm enjoying myself. And like, because if you throw me into COD, I'm gonna be like, God, it's so hard, and people have again too many hours on it, and I just don't enjoy those kinds of games nearly as much as I used to. I used to kind of enjoy shooters, but like not to the same extent. And even when it was Tank Bros and we played Overwatch, I was goofing off the whole time, like, and that made people upset.
Oh, that makes people very upset. Yeah, and I think that's why like Dead by Daylight stopped being fun for us too, is because people would get upset, and we're just there to have a good time and to
Right.
be silly and chase Ghostface in circles because we got to figure out which one he's gonna pick to be his girlfriend. Like that's
Yeah.
we want to play that game.
But I want to be his girlfriend. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so it's just and I try to never take the games too super serious. Like competitive stuff, I just can't
Mm-hmm.
do it. I'm not built for it. I like Overwatch too, but like I like playing it with my friends specifically because when they start being mean in the chat, I just don't want to play anymore.
It's not as fun.
No, it's not.
Fun little story about Overwatch one time. I had never did the voice chat. I just wasn't all that interested. Didn't really bother me. And when Overwatch first was around, you could mostly communicate through the little quick chat things. And I'm a support main. And the amount of times that I got DMs calling me you're a worthless girl, or you're a bitch, you're a whore, like all these very femme-centric insults.
Terrible.
And just being able to be like, I'm a dude, but it was because I played as Mercy, so obviously that's a girl character.
Never understood that either. Like, it's a game. You can be whoever you want to be. As it turns out, you can live in whatever fantasy world you want to live in. That's why video games are awesome.
It's pretty dope. And if you keep calling me weird, mean names, I'm just going to become Battle Mercy. And that's it. I'm on the front lines.
Good luck.
Yeah.
No. I don't, I never understood it. It just doesn't, and why would you want to be, so stressed out that you have to perform well or somebody's going to say horrible, terrible things to you? And it's, not just our generation either.
Mhm.
My daughter plays, it's the most ridiculous game in the world, Gorilla Tag on the VR headset.
I do know Gorilla Tag, yeah.
Yes, and she'll tell me sometimes some of the stuff that gets said out loud by these kids, and it's just there's a whole new generation of this same attitude and idea, and it's just somebody needs to be teaching people to be nice to other people because clearly no one is.
I'm doing my best, Spooky. I really am.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that it's the same kind of stuff being said that was being said when we played video games when we were kids that's being said as playing video games as adults, and it just trickles down, and it's oh my god, this is just a problem that I guess is never gonna go away.
Yeah, and there really is something about just like you said, just like someone needs to teach those kinds of things. Words don't have a ton of power on their own, and people are going to give power to them anyway. So you need to understand that the words you say to people, there's a real person on the other side of it.
Yeah. Outside of the box, outside of the curated version of themselves, there's a whole person that exists, and when you go into a streamer's space and you say things that are unkind, you might think you're being inconsequential, but it weighs. I think for me personally, and I'm sure you've had similar experiences, you think about it, you walk away from it, and you turn the stream off, and it sits heavy on your mind for however long, and it affects the way you do things going forward. It affects how you present yourself, it affects how you present your content. That stuff, it digs in there as much as it's just words.
Yeah, and the other piece was I it's been a hot minute since I had to full on ban someone, because a lot of the times when trolls try and give it to you and you give it right back, they're no, so you're all right, see ya. Enjoy your shitty Discord call, I guess. But it's the last time, what the big ban that we had was a person named Bowser. Have they changed their name? I can't remember. But they just came out of, they kept talking about they kept saying how against everything that we stood for was.
So strange.
And eventually the tipping point, and this is just to make the long story short, was they said that Taylor Swift is Andrew Tate for women.
I'm not by any means a Swiftie or anything, but like that's what a hot take. Like,
It's wrong.
yeah, on what planet?
That was
Like
that was the tipping point
yeah.
for them, and that was the tipping point for me, because there were so many other things that I was like, maybe you just need education on this thing. Maybe you're kind of coming from a place of ignorance, and ignorance as in not knowing versus like choosing to ignore,
Yeah.
right? It's like, maybe you just don't know. Maybe you're not really sure. Like, someone at one point he said, well, homeless people should just get jobs. And I'm like, well, it's not always that easy, you know?
No.
There's a lot of factors. Some places don't hire you without a permanent address. Some places don't hire you without a phone. Some places, you know, this, that, and the other thing. It's harder than one might seem.
Yeah.
And he kind of went like, yeah, I get that. I just, you know, like at one point I was in a shelter, but I was able to get a job. And I'm like, and that's great, man. Like that's fantastic that you were able to do that. And it's not always that easy. So we try to do like education and kind of just.
You would think something like that would make somebody more empathetic.
You
instead
would
of less.
fucking think. What I found, and this is true, has been true in so many scenarios, unfortunately, is people who have suffered will come after it in two different ways. And one is, I've suffered, so I don't want others to suffer. And the other is, I've suffered, so why shouldn't they?
Yeah. 100%. And I always find that that's such a cruel way to think.
Yeah.
You know, I've definitely, like I said, I talked about it a lot, you know, what kind of life I had growing up and how things weren't always easy. And I never want anybody to suffer that way, you know, and breaking that generational trauma was super important to me because I don't want my kid to suffer in that way.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I got lucky in the fact that I walked away from it, you know, with scars, but I was able to be a functional adult who can do the things I need to do and was able to take care of myself. You know, I moved out when I was 18 years old and I've not been back, and you know, and there were people that helped me along the way,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm so thankful for that, and I would never want anybody else to have to go through that. And if there was a way for me to help, I would. I don't understand, like, I can't, and I guess because I could never think that way, like I don't understand looking at somebody being like, no, this is a lesson you have to learn the hard way. Like, absolutely not. There's an easy way to learn these things. You don't
Yeah.
have to learn them the hard way.
Yeah, you know, like, I feel like the only lesson that I'd want someone to learn the hard way is like how to ride a bike, you know, like.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta fall off your bike at least once, so you're like, oh, don't do that, you know?
You gotta get the healthy fear.
Kinda, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, you stopped pedaling, that was on you. So
Yeah.
but but other than that, like, and plus, like, you're what, like 5 or 6 when you learn how to ride a bike generally, so like
Get over it.
kids are pretty bouncy, you know.
Yeah.
They're pretty
They sure are.
bouncy.
Yeah, I mean, I work and as a general manager in a restaurant, and so
Mhm.
the majority of my team member base is, you know, 16 to 21. It's
Sure.
usually they're done college and they go get, you know, their career job.
Right.
So I get to see them in this really small time frame of their life, but I do my best to give them as much life skill as they're willing to allow me to push into their brain.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time, and this is horrible, but me and my other managers are the most stable adults they see in a day
Sure.
because their parents aren't, you know, around or available, or they work too much, or I have to work because I help my mom pay rent and I help take care of my little sister. And, you know, they come from really extraordinary sets of circumstances and they don't always have anybody in their corner. And so I do my best to be in their corner because why should they have to learn it the hard way? You know, hey, can you teach me about credit? Like, okay, you know, like
Yeah.
sit down and let's talk about it. You know, this isn't necessarily in my job description, but like, I remember being that kid
Right.
and the people who helped me learn the things I needed to learn, you know, and I feel like you should pay that stuff forward. And people who don't, I just don't understand it. And it makes me sad for those people because they're clearly so hurt by what happened and they've not processed it. They've not dealt with it.
Well,
And I think
yeah.
that's why they then turn and hurt others in that same way.
Yeah, and so that recently, and this is it within the last like decade or so, is they've started doing this thing. They've called a new kind of stage of life, because it used to just go from teenager to adult, and like, no, right? So they've kind of deemed this like 18 to like 23, 24 as what they call emerging adulthood, because they couldn't come up with a better word, I guess. So like developmentally, because like so many people are like exploring and doing a lot of drugs and doing, you know, all these other types of things. Hopefully not, but like, you know, like exploring their limits and their kind of failures and their and like you said, they're like trying to figure out the way that the world works. Like graduating high school, there's no way I was ready for the real world, right? Not a chance.
No, and they don't teach you that kind of stuff like in school, like how to pay a bill or how to balance a checkbook, open a bank account, make a doctor's appointment. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
that stuff like really eludes some of these young adults that are, you know, in my presence, and they like don't know how to do that stuff. And it's crazy to me, you know, that nobody wants to take the time. Well, figure it out. Pick yourself up by your bootstraps. Figure it out.
Yeah, and those of us who had maybe an absent parent or you know, maybe a parent who was physically there but maybe not mentally or whatever, maybe didn't get those lessons.
Yeah. I mean, certainly I didn't receive them, and I, you know, had to learn them the hard way.
Yeah.
You know, and again, like I would never want someone to have to do that. And so like if I can teach somebody how to do something, I'm going to teach somebody how to do it. I had a young man message me years and years later. I mean, I've been in this business since I was 17. I've been running restaurants since I was 24. And so I've met a lot of young people, and every now and again they pop back up in your life or they message you on Facebook, and that's always nice.
Sure.
And he's like, hey, I just wanted to let you know that I really appreciate that you taught me how to mop, because it's a thing that I never, like, my parents never taught me how to do. He's like, but I got my first apartment and I'm by myself and I'm sitting here mopping. And I remembered that you used to get on me about not mopping the floor right. It's like, and I mopped my floor today and I mopped it right. And I was just like, what a weird, but like touching thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so glad that you mopped your floor and you thought of me, and like that I didn't severely damage you by being like, what are you doing? Like,
Right.
yeah, you gotta wring it out. You can't just slap it on the floor.
Right.
You know, so it's like little stuff like that, little moments that you just don't realize that like if nobody teaches you how to do it, you just don't know.
No, it's not a natural thing that just like you figure out. Especially little things like that. That just made me think of the very first time I got an apartment. It doesn't come with a trash can.
Nope.
Apartments
or like
and
the
stuff.
big spoons that you use for cooking.
Yeah.
A plunger?
It doesn't come with a trash can. It doesn't come with a plunger.
Nope.
I don't. I grew up and thought those things just kind of were always in every bathroom ever, right? They just kind of were there.
Yeah. My parents bought them.
I didn't know.
You know? That's crazy.
I didn't know, and I tried to like justify it to myself, like, well, like maybe, I don't know, are they like hand-me-downs? Are they just like, do they leave it? Do you just like leave it for the next tenant? Like, what do you do? No.
Yeah, you take it with you. Yeah, it's like the big spoons was my biggest one. I remember I went to go cook my first meal in my apartment, and I like reached for like a big spoon to stir my pot of mac and cheese. There was no big spoon because I had not purchased one.
Nope.
No, and I had nothing to stir a pot full of hot water with.
Like, well.
Yeah. I guess I'm not eating this mac and cheese.
I guess I have just wasted a box.
Yeah.
But
I mean, back then they were cheaper.
Oh yeah, well, when I've had plenty of blue boxes in my lifetime, no doubt.
Yeah.
And I think we still have like 3 or 4 in the pantry as well.
Oh, it's part of my regular Walmart order.
You never know.
Yeah.
There are just times I'm just like, you know what I need? I need mac and cheese that has an entire stick of butter in it.
Yes. And if I've got hot dogs, I'm cutting them up and I'm
Oh
putting
my
them in the mac
God.
and cheese.
That's my comfort meal.
Yeah.
Literally my comfort
Nobody's
meal.
mad. Everybody's happy when they see little hot dogs on the mac and cheese.
Or if you had buns and you just made the hot dog separate and you like dip it in the extra cheese stuff.
Oh man. Yeah, that's big brain time.
I mean, what's so funny is growing up in I had this very separate lifestyle from my mom, who I had my stepdad, and like they grew up, they had a good amount of like, they had like dual income, and they had like, we were doing okay, versus my dad, who would steal food from the restaurants that he managed. So like very different, like definitely had like sleep for dinner a few times.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally get that, and I'm sure that was really hard to square, right? Like,
going back and forth between the houses was very weird.
Yeah. Like, I'm sure that was super strange, you know? I mean, and I totally, like I said, I've been in both places in my life, both as a kid and as an adult. You know, when I had my daughter, I was the only one that worked, and it was that way for a long time. And, you know, there were times I paid for groceries with coins, as embarrassing as it was, but it needed to be done because that's what I had. And, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, I just don't understand why you would want anybody else to feel those things. Like,
yeah,
when you have the power to help them not feel those things.
Oh, I remember because I used to manage a Subway for a minute, and I got a lot of high schoolers and like early college kids working for me and stuff like that. And we got our tips in change a lot of the time. You know, you just get a couple of coins and stuff like that. And one of them was like, "Do you know where a Coinstar is?" And I was just like, "You could go to Coinstar, or you could go to a bank and they'll do it for free."
Yeah.
And they're like, "The bank will do it for free?" And I'm like, "For free, dude."
Yeah. And I'm sure they were like,
yeah, because they were just like, well, why would they? It's like, because they literally have the machine there.
Yeah.
Coinstar just made their own and then charged for it.
Yeah. You don't have to get a surcharge if you just go straight to
Which
the
was
bank.
like the scam of scams.
It was. They don't exist anymore, to my understanding.
There's a
don't think the ones in
Coinstar
banks-
at the grocery store that's near me, so
Is there?
yeah.
See, I feel like all the ones I've seen have been like out of commission. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely, I've utilized a Coinstar too in my day.
I didn't know either. That was the first time I had like a big old piggy bank type thing full of coins, and I was like, Coinstar it is, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, I feel super lucky that I get to pay that back in a weird way to like all, and the young adults keep me young and they teach me all the lingo, and they,
Right, of course.
you know, I get a lot of eye rolls and millennials, and but like I love a good millennial manager meme because I feel like it's so true, because like I feel like the millennial generation is just so much more empathetic to like the struggle, that like,
Yeah.
we're so like the unserious boss. Like,
Yeah, I do see those pretty often on TikTok and stuff.
yeah, like, oh my god, I caught you on your cell phone, like, can you be sneakier? Like, I understand that we live in a world where cell phones are a thing. Don't do it in front of my face, just
Yeah. Like, what do you mean you haven't clocked in yet? Go clock in. What are you doing? You know?
Working off the clock? Absolutely not.
Yeah, go clock in again right now.
Yeah, make all that money. Overtime for sure. I've got overtime I can give you.
I that's that was the one that got me, because there was a kid who came in, and like before they clocked in, they like grabbed like the broom and they were like starting to do stuff, and I'm like, get over here and clock in.
Yeah, you get paid for your work.
They were like, but like, I don't know, I was just here, and I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah,
It'll be there after you clock in 4 seconds. Go do that.
Yeah, it's definitely, it keeps me, it feels like my weird way to pay back to some degree, you know. And sometimes I will admit it is very mentally draining when they come to you with like the really heavy stuff, because there's only so much that you are capable of doing, you know.
Yeah.
all I can do is offer advice. You know, you live with your parents, and that kind of just is what it is. And I'm sorry that it is that way, but I do my best to, you know, to try and help whenever I can. And
Yeah.
if I can buy lunch, or if I can, you know, we make breakfast every Thursday. They think I'm insane, but like every Thursday, I go to the grocery store, we buy a bunch of eggs and hash browns, and we just make breakfast. We don't need to be celebrating something.
Sounds
We're
amazing.
celebrating eating breakfast. Yeah.
Yeah, we're celebrating a meal.
Yeah, and it's just like, you know, it's an expenditure that I'm fine with, and I would rather everybody, you know, have a good time.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do cereal bar for no reason, just because it'd be cool if everybody bought a box of cereal and brought it in, and we just had a party.
Yeah.
You know, like.
When's the last time you
Or it
had
doesn't
Fruit
have to
Loops?
be
Let's
terrible,
go.
miserable. That's what I'm saying. I just bought some peanut butter Captain Crunch, and I'm reliving my childhood. So.
See, that was one I got to miss out on because I'm allergic to peanuts. But
Oh no.
all Captain Crunch was all made in the same place with the peanut butter one. So
Oh. Regular Captain Crunch isn't that good, so you're not missing out there. That helps.
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was it's I in my office I keep like little snacks. So I got like little, you know, little fruit snacks and stuff like that, because like the little kiddos are usually pretty set. But like I have some teenagers who are struggling with their folks and stuff like that, and like I got like Pop-Tarts and shit. Like I'm like if this is what you need right now, like I had one kid, this is at my last job, and I had one kid come in and was just like, I don't need to talk, I need to sleep. And I was like, sleep, bro. Like,
Yeah. Sad.
sleep, bro. I have the next hour for you. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, set an alarm on your phone and I'll be over here typing quietly, you know?
And I think that's the thing too, is nobody feels comfortable enough to ask what other people need sometimes. You know, just how can I help you? You know, you want to impose your help in the way that you think that people need it, and sometimes it's not the way that they need it.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just need to come sit in the office and in the quiet for a minute before they go back out on the floor, and like that's okay. We can just sit and be quiet. And
Yeah.
talk about it.
Yeah, you're just like sitting in there like, you cool? And they're like, I'm cool. And you're like, all right.
We've come a long way from crying in the walk-in. You know, we're past that. We're evolved. No crying in the walk-in.
It's been a minute since I cried in a
Silence
walk-in.
Yeah. It's like a rite of passage. Like
You
crying
gotta
in a
do it.
walk-in, like at least once, to really understand what it means to be in the service industry.
Oh yeah,
You have to have
get
cried in a
screamed
walk-in.
at by somebody who has no business screaming at you. Like,
Oh yeah. For food, which is always the part that like gets me. It's just like, this is, lady, I make hamburgers. What are
Yeah.
you talking about?
I'm in charge of your food. Are you sure you want to be screaming at me? You know?
Yeah, it's just so weird. I never get stressed out about that kind of like, and I think that's also like maybe a people pleaser thing that I should maybe stop doing too. But like, I don't send food back. Like, I don't.
No, never.
No. Oh, you made my drink wrong. I guess I'm drinking this today. Like, oh well.
There has to be something wildly wrong in order for me to like send something back. Like I gotta be like, this is straight up not what I ordered, you know? Like,
Oh yeah, there's be like a human finger in my food, and I'd be like, "Hey, I'm sorry to bother you."
hey, listen, I don't want to interrupt. I know you're
You guys are
busy.
super busy.
God, oh, jeez. Yeah, it's always, it's just one of those things. I'm like, you know, if I'm like, hey, can I get a burger? And they hand me, you know, like the lid of a trash can, I'm gonna be like, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't.
don't
Gosh,
want
I'm so
trash
embarrassed.
cans.
I didn't order trash can lid.
And if you don't have time to fix it, I'll take it. It's okay.
Yeah, like if it's like super busy in here. Meanwhile, there's like nobody around. You're like, is it super busy in here? I just.
Me at the Starbucks at 5:30 in the morning. Like... But if you're super busy,
I'm really
you'll have to
sorry.
remain. That was something I've actually I had the pleasure of working for a lot of really wonderful leaders, but I had somebody explain to me that, you know, you have to stop apologizing for stuff that isn't your fault. And it's like, that's such a hard habit to break, to just like, because it's such the automatic, like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And it's like, wait, but I actually, like, I could walk into a wall and apologize to the wall. And that's just how I'm conditioned at this point.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like, you don't, after you work in the service industry, in most capacities, you're gonna be really cool with service workers.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I am definitely a person who, like, if somebody's being rude to a service worker, like,
Mhm.
I can't ignore that either.
Right.
Like, if I'm the customer and you're being awful, I'm gonna tell you you're being awful because my job's not on the line. I don't work here.
Right.
So, like, you know, sorry, but you've met your match today. I'm gonna be like, stop being rude. You know, because you gotta advocate for the little guy sometimes.
No doubt. No doubt. Yeah, I mean, and I didn't, like, it's been a really long time since I worked in the service industry specifically, but even then I'm still like wildly kind, and you know, I luckily had a really cool manager, which I assume you're the exact same way, but my manager was definitely like, don't talk to my server that way. Like don't
Yeah.
what is wrong? Like, what is wrong with you? This kid is, because I worked at a breakfast restaurant specifically, so we had to be there at 5, and I was 17. Like,
Yeah.
like this
Oh,
he's a 17-year-old. It's 5:30 in the morning.
I've
the
seen
hell are
grown
you-
men
what the
yell at
hell are you
17-year-old
about?
girls.
Right.
Like, and
What
it's
the
just like,
hell are
does
you
this
yelling
make-
about?
Yeah. Like, do you feel cool? Do you feel powerful?
Yeah, you
'cause
feel
you yelled
better?
at a teenager? Like, no, I get mama bear mode really quick. I slide right in between that, and I'm like, you're gonna yell at me because I get paid for that. And you're not gonna yell at them.
Right.
Like, it's absolutely not gonna happen.
Yeah. Scream at me, I can take it.
I mean, I've been called all kinds of names.
Oh, sure.
At this point, yeah.
Oh, sure. But I do love service like industry stories, because like I remember like easily a woman in her probably like 30s or 40s, and I asked, how did you like your eggs? And she said, cooked. And I was like,
There's like 100 ways to cook eggs, lady.
that's kind of what I said. I was like, yes, they'll be cooked, but how?
Like, flip them a little, or like scramble them?
You want me to just throw the shell directly on the plate? Like,
Yeah. I like the numerous, there's countless ways we can cook these eggs. Yeah. I mean, I've certainly had some experiences. I've learned that nothing wins that fight more than just laughing at them when they get like really, really upset. You know? And there's always some sort of, you know, thing going on in the world that, especially when you're working for a publicly traded company, and that people will want to exercise their freedom of speech at you as if you make decisions, which is
sure.
always been insane to me.
Mhm.
You know, and I've had people get in my face and and flat out just call me the B word, and I just start laughing because it's hilarious. Like, you're a grown man, unprompted, in a restaurant.
You feel
Like,
better?
and you just showed up here. Yeah, do you feel better? Like, you know, and it's just so insane to me that people do that. But it doesn't surprise me anymore, honestly. It's just,
No.
I always approach those situations and I'm like, what are you gonna call me today? Because I've been called all kinds of things. Some of them very creative. So, like, will you win this battle? Or
If I feel like if it was creative enough, I'd probably like giggle at it. I'd be like, wow,
oh yeah.
that's new. Like, good, like a little bit of golf claps here, because that was good. Like, and I rarely had, I didn't have it nearly as often, but like I definitely remember those kinds of things of people coming in and screaming, or just absolutely losing it over the smallest things.
The slightest inconveniences, you know?
The,
and you just
the
have to
smallest
wonder,
things. I said no lemon in my water, and I was like, I didn't even bring this water to your table. What are you screaming at me for? Like, Yeah.
Yeah, pick it out. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Don't drink it.
Yeah.
This
I
for-
mean, in the age of technology, my favorite one that I get now is I get a million phone calls a day of my app doesn't work. And it's like, okay, well, what do you... I don't run the app. I'm not the IT department.
Yeah, fix it then. I don't know.
Yeah. Have you tried restarting your phone? I don't really know what to tell you.
Yeah.
You know, but it's
Looks
my
like-
responsibility to fix it.
It looks like the app's not working, so
Yeah.
guess you're out of luck,
Okay.
but I'm on the phone. Do you want to just order now? You know?
Yeah. As it turns out, you can just come here.
We just show up.
It's
I'll hook up.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's how they used to do it back in the day, is they would come here in order.
There were some days I definitely like turned off mobile ordering because the kids were just getting so ridiculously stressed out. I was like, we don't have to worry about that.
I usually start with the delivery partners. Sorry.
Mm.
DoorDash, Grubhub. You guys can.
Go
Come
that
on.
way.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you guys will be okay today.
We had the little rack. Luckily, we had the little rack where you put the little sticker on it. It's for Cheryl or whatever. And
Yeah, it's a whole new world, and I mean, the technology is so much different, and the way that we serve people post-COVID versus pre-COVID is completely different. And I feel like the way people behave in public now is also so different. Like, they got shut in for 2 years and like forgot how to be like
kind.
human. Yes, that's certainly the one. I mean, the things that we dealt with during COVID was really stressful and terrible. There are chunks of time that, because we stayed open the whole time,
Yep.
but they just like are like fleeting memories. Like, my brain just doesn't process them because we were so stressed out and things were so chaotic and everything was terrifying, you know. And there's certainly some trauma and stress that went into that. And it's just, you know, trying to keep everybody safe, trying to keep a bunch of 17-year-olds safe,
Right.
and, you know, being handed down decisions day to day that were not my choice, but
Right.
that I had to just roll with, you know. And that kind of stuff was crazy. So it's changed the landscape a lot in the way that people behave. But
I can imagine, and like, I'll just say, like, I never lost that kind of like this, like, what we're going through sucks right now. Like, what we're going through sucks. I worked through the pandy, but I was very but I was being a therapist, and I was just an online therapist for like 2 years.
yeah.
That didn't change, like that changed people, like, developmentally, especially kiddos. Like, their social stuff like absolutely got smashed.
Yeah.
And it was really hard for them, because I wanted to like a lot of the times what I'll tell parents is like, you gotta like let them go play with their friends.
Yeah.
Let them goof off, let them, you know, push the boundaries. Like, don't let them get hurt, sure, but let them go push boundaries. Let them go fuck around. Let them go find out that hitting each other with sticks isn't a good basis of friendship, you know.
When
let
home
them
is
figure-
school and school is home, and everything is there, and it's just
Right.
like you don't get to experience outside. And that's
Some
wild.
parents were not designed to be teachers, so
No.
and I don't fault any parents for that. You know, that wasn't something that any of us like expected. But trying to teach kids, like, listen, we're all going through a very similar thing, and unfortunately, developmentally, they're still like very self-centric, you know, and they just don't quite get that like these people are also in the exact same boat.
Yep.
But mom lost her job, and dad is now a remote worker, and we don't have the space for this at home. And
And now we're suddenly spending a lot more time together than we normally would, you
Right.
know? And that was just, it's just all stress all the time. So I actually opened the store that I run now, from when it was brand new, built it from the ground up, hired
Nice.
80 people to open it.
Wonderful.
And we opened in November of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what happened in February of 2020. So we had a couple of months of, we were just getting hammered with the new store opening, and then all of a sudden the world stopped.
Shut it down.
Shut it down. And now all of the 80 people that I hired, I have to now lay off. And it was just, and every day was different, and every day was changing, and we didn't know from one day to the next what the rules would be, or how it would work, or whether we'd be open or not. At one point they removed all the cash from our store because money is dirty, and exchanging money is a way to get sick. And
Yep.
all of these things were on reduced hours. We're taking orders outside. I push my cash registers to the front door, and that's how we're serving people food. I have a whole beautiful brand new restaurant nobody can come into. It was insane.
It's staying really clean though, because no one's in it.
Beautifully clean, the cleanest it's ever been in 4 years, for sure. But
because no one's inside.
and everybody's patience is tight, and everybody's scared, and it was just, it was so much. And the way people were either so kind or so cruel was, you never knew from person to person. It was just, I was stunned by
No doubt.
how much of a lack of empathy. And I think that's always, like, I'm such an empathetic person, and I just kind of expect that from other people, and it's not a thing that a lot of people have, apparently.
Unfortunately not. Not. I would love to it's why I kind of hold steadfast to, like, I feel like everyone should work a customer service job in their life.
Oh, absolutely.
You don't have to do it forever. Just do it at least once so you can get it.
Yeah.
I worked at a grocery store. I worked at a restaurant. I worked at Subway. I did a lot of those things. It was
They're
like
not easy jobs.
No. And you start to get it.
And if people that did them stopped doing them, we would, as a society, miss them. We would feel their absence. And I think that's the part that I don't get, is like, we treat, or not we specifically, but people treat them like so much lesser. These teenagers who are not on the streets, working hard, paying their way in the world, and they act like they're so much lesser. But if they weren't there to make their coffee or to make their lunch, what would you do?
Right.
You rely on these people daily, but you treat them so poorly. It makes absolutely no sense.
No. There was I've gotten, because I started realizing that I felt like an asshole after I was doing it for a while, but like, because I used to work at the grocery store, so I was like, would tell the baggers, I'm like, take a quick break, like, I'll do it, And it wasn't because I had a specific way of doing it or anything. It was just like, man, take a break. You're cool. Like,
yeah.
And then people were like, but like and one person, their boss got mad at them, and I was just like, that's stupid. I asked.
That is, yeah.
And I told the manager, I was like, I asked to do it.
He was supposed to hip check you out of the way.
Yeah.
And be like, absolutely not.
Was he supposed to push me into the boards and just be like, no, like.
Yeah. Don't you touch that bag.
What if I did have a specific method?
Yeah.
Like, what was
and so what if he's not being productive for 3 minutes?
Not even.
Yeah. Like, does the world crumble? Like,
just a few minutes, Like, take a break, man. Put some lotion on your hands, man. I remember how this dried my hands out growing up. Like,
yeah, the paper bags, they're terrible.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I just think we should all be kinder to each other. Lead with kindness, always. Lead with empathy, always. Assume that everybody's intentions are good and not bad initially, instead of, coming at it with, well, you did this for this reason.
Yeah. And I've been working with kids for 8-ish years now, almost 8 years as a therapist, specifically. And like, I've been trying to say, like, listen, this is the way that the world is there are a lot of cruel things and there's a lot of rough things out there. If you lead with kindness, you lead with empathy, a lot of the times you're going to get that right back. It's not foolproof. It's not foolproof. There are going to be people who are awful no matter what.
Yeah.
You can be as kind and gentle as you want to be, and there are people who will still be rude and mean and hateful, spiteful, whatever.
Yeah, but that's on them.
And exactly, that's what I tell them. I'm like, if that's the way that they choose to interact with you, that's on them.
Yeah.
And you will and yeah, and Sarah, you said perfectly, like, they catch more flies with honey. And it's one of those things where I'm like, if you treat the world cruel, you will get cruel back.
You get what you put out into the world, absolutely.
And I kind of have to tell them, I'm like, I was like, I tell the story in my sessions sometimes is, in elementary school, I used to get bullied a lot because I was big kid, and kids are extremely cruel and they don't, because they're not processing the power that they have in those moments. So I was really big, and I started fighting back, which led me to have 0 friends for a while. And I kind of had to explain it to them in a way that they kind of go, oh, so if I'm nice to them, they'll be nice to me. And it's kind of like, more often than not, dude.
Yeah. It's worth a shot.
Yeah, the worst that could happen is nothing.
Yeah.
And you're in the same spot.
Make a friend.
Yeah, and maybe they'll be cool to you.
Yeah.
You know, you're not gonna win every single battle, and you know, it's very and developmentally, obviously I have to keep that stuff in mind as well. But what do you say to starting the Q&A action? Excellent. Excellent. So chat, welcome in everybody. For those who have either been lurking, listening, talking in chat, I really appreciate you all being here. Also, thank you for the follow that I saw earlier. I really appreciate you all for being here. We are in the Q&A section, and the Q&A can be related to anything that we have been talking about, whether that's with horror movies, service industry, streaming, anything like that, or it can be you know, anything about anything. Maybe you want to hear about your favorite clapback to a customer, or I don't know, it's some along those lines. And Spooky, if you have any questions, maybe you, because like Wendy a couple episodes ago, she was just like, I have like 4 written down. I was like, whoa, let's go. So if you got any questions, fire away.
Yeah, let's see. I can think of some. I don't have any written down because I'm not that clever, but definitely.
For her, it was anxiety. She was like, she's like, I wanted to be prepared.
I mean, my friends will certainly tell you that I've been very nervous leading up to this. I'm usually nervous leading up to most things, just because, you know, I always want to make sure that I'm doing the best by the person who's been kind enough to have me in their space. So
yeah.
So I hope I've not been terrible. And I think the day I stop being nervous about stuff will be the day that I let things slip. You know, that's when I'll start messing up.
Okay. Okay. Anxiety isn't inherently a bad thing. It's telling you that something
like
different.
Spidey senses.
It's kind of like Spidey senses, right? It's just kind of letting you know that something is happening. The time when it starts to interrupt you and cause problems in your life is when it's an issue.
Oh yeah.
But like if you're in a brand new place that you've never been before and you don't know anybody, it's pretty natural to be anxious. We have a question from Sar Noble here. What is the funniest thing that's happened to you, each of you, in a stream? The first thing that always comes to mind is the guy who like started cursing me out because I was a dude in a maid costume. I thought that was hilarious, honestly. Like, because this guy, because this is what I picture, right? This guy, dick in hand, saw my thumbnail of cute anime girls in a dating sim, and a person in a maid costume who's got like long hair, and I had makeup. I had a full face of makeup,
and he's like, I gotta go shoot my shot
And this
right
guy,
now.
gross. And also, like, this guy was like, he was like ready.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he was extremely upset. And I was just like, you came in here expecting a different thing. Like, I can put on this voice if you want, but like, it's he was upset. That's the thing that comes to mind pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the funniest thing, because I mean, we have so much
Oh, plenty of other things, definitely.
fun.
But
Yeah, we definitely do lots of silly things. I mean, Befferson's Inception
Mhm.
was probably one of my favorite running jokes that we sort of like became the channel for like a minute.
Mhm.
We're all collectively, we might have even been in voice comms together. We're collectively putting a body back in Mortuary Assistant, and the name on it was B Jefferson, or no, was it B Befferson? And we were like, what kind of ridiculous name? Like, why would you not put the person's first name? It was, and we just sort of started running with it, and then we started naming all of the demons, and then there was Kevin, and Kevin took us home to meet his mom, and they were all demons in a pond, and it was all really silly, and
Pond?
we all laughed forever and ever. Oh yeah, it was really, it was a mess. And then Befferson was our dad, and he wasn't our dad. That would probably be one of my favorite stream moments. That, and we just played Little Misfortune. We
Aw,
laughed a lot at that
love
game,
that
and
game.
then we cried a lot at that game.
Oh,
We
sure.
went from laughing hysterically to sobbing uncontrollably.
Yeah.
And now, like, Yikes Forever is kind of like the staying in my
Yikes
household.
forever. Yeah.
Yikes Forever. Every time my boyfriend says something to me, I'm like, but I'm just a little lady. So yeah, those are definitely probably
Yeah.
my two favorite we laughed a lot moments.
No doubt. Yeah, that's good. I like that. And I loved that game too. Big
I
fan
don't
of
think I'll ever get over it.
it was rough. It was rough for a minute there.
Yeah, but
Um
like the hamster strip club. Who thinks of that, you know?
I couldn't tell you, but
No, but great stuff.
it's a good one. From Circle of Sylvan, Trav, have you been going out and rocking karaoke recently? And if so, how many songs were Oingo Boingo songs? I love Oingo Boingo. For those who don't know, it's probably one of my favorite bands of all time. You would probably, do you know the name Danny Elfman?
Yes.
That was his band in the 80s.
I did not know that.
Yes.
Interesting.
Uh, so he had a kind of new wave, very Devo-esque band in the 80s. And it was fantastic. I went to karaoke last weekend. And one of them was an Oingo Boingo song, because it was a very slow night at this bar that's really close to my house. And I got like 5 songs in that night, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do like one for y'all, one for me, one for y'all, one for me.
That's fun.
And I did Just Another Day, which is a personal favorite of mine. From Min Kitten, what is the craziest mansplain you've ever encountered on or outside of Twitch? I mean, you did get 7 videos.
I did get 7 videos, but that's not even the craziest one.
Ooh.
This is
Go
actually
on.
not Twitch related. And so I briefly took over another store towards the end of the pandemic from another GM who was kind of just not maybe doing things the way that he should have been doing them. And he definitely was like your classic grade A misogynist, like through and through.
Love that.
And so he's showing me around the office, and he goes, "This is the drawer where I keep the ink." And so now my company logo is green. And he goes, "You're gonna go through more blue and yellow ink, so you have to order a lot of that." He goes, "Do you know why that is?" And at this point, I don't know if he's joking or not. And I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" He goes, "Well, because our logo is green, so like a lot of stuff prints green, and blue and yellow make green." And he's being so super serious, and I'm just like like I was there that day in kindergarten when they taught that.
Come here, idiot girl. Like, let me tell you. Like,
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
my god.
Do you know what green is? And so that was the running joke for the entire time I was there between me and my AGM, who was also a girl, is anytime we didn't know something, I would just look at her and go, what is green?
I don't understand.
I don't understand what is green.
I'm not following.
I couldn't believe, like, I had an out of body experience. Like, is this really happening to me right now? Like, is he really explaining to me what color would make green?
You're
Like,
just transcending.
Yeah.
Just transcending being like, I don't understand color theory.
Yeah.
And I never will.
And that was outrageous. And it's one of those things where it's just like, I need my job. I can't fist fight a grown man. He said a lot of really outrageous stuff to me. He told me that the only reason I got my job was because my boss was a woman and he doesn't sit down when he pees. That's verbatim. And I said, well, you could if you wanted to. And that was it's kind of the end of that. I just, again, where does one find the audacity? Because I'd like to borrow some.
Yeah, let me get a little bit. I mean, you could sit down to pee.
You could if you wanted to. Like, if that was gonna like advance your career.
Sure.
Since you seem to think that it will.
If I would get a raise for sitting down, yeah.
Yeah.
If I got a raise by sitting down to pee, yeah, 100%. And if that's all it took, yeah.
Yeah, so that would probably be the craziest because it was like face to face. Like, I'm on the internet, people are bold behind a keyboard, but I couldn't believe the boldness in my face to 2 feet in front of my face. So that's my craziest mansplaining story.
Man, I didn't, obviously I don't get mansplained super often. I definitely had people who like give you like the you're a child you don't know kind of act. Like I'm a therapist and I have a master's degree and like I actually did study this, as people, if you could believe it. And I still have parents who will come to me and be like, well, like, I know how child development works. I have 2 kids. And I'm like, and I have almost 10 years experience with this.
Yeah. I literally actually went to school for this.
I do this every day.
Yeah. You're paying me to do it now.
Believe it or not.
As it turns out, you know.
And I know that like I sit on the floor with kids and I can act very childish, you know, like I get that, but
yeah, I mean, again, it's not something that you just go in and be like, I would like to entry level do this, please. No credentials at all. Like,
I've never done therapy once in my life. How do I get started? Yeah, like
therapy for dummies.
That was one of the things that I still get that every so often, where people are like, well, I understand how kids work, and I'm like, do you? Because you're here.
I've been told once or twice before, well, I've been on this planet for a long time. And
the classic.
This, and it's like, okay, like, well, you don't understand it because I've explained it to you and you still
Clearly.
don't get it. So
Yeah. From BC, Spooky, would you ever consider reviving Swayze Sundays?
Swayze Sundays. Oh man. So there was a time in our group of companions where we wanted to do like we would do movie days on Discord. And me and BC really fought for Swayze Sundays because I think Patrick Swayze has an excellent catalog of movies.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
You know, so we were met very much with absolutely not. That will not be happening.
Oh.
And we were very sad about it. So, I mean, BC, if you want to do Swayze Sundays, we can do them together, buddy. But I think it might just be the 2 of us.
Make it happen. Roadhouse every Sunday. Here we go.
Just Roadhouse.
I mean,
You don't understand. He's the best bouncer in the world.
you don't get it. Can you
There's a
kick your leg
mafia.
that high? That's a lot of flexibility.
I think you see his butt in that movie too.
You might.
Yeah, I think you do.
Been a minute since I watched Roadhouse, but
Well, Swayze Sundays is back on apparently.
here we go. One more time. If you were to get somebody to play a video game for the first time in their life, which game would you have them play first to hook them?
Any game in the whole world? Or like, am I introducing someone to a franchise?
I believe the question is just if you were going to get someone to play a video game for the first time in their life, which game would you have them play to hook them?
Any game to like start playing video games, I would say should always be The Sims.
What?
I think that that's such a game that's accessible to everyone and is fun for everyone. But if we're talking like franchise, that I would love for somebody to like, Little Nightmares always. Everyone should play it once, and then play the second one, and then wait eagerly for the third one.
You went with The Sims?
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong.
There's
Sims is good, but to like someone's never played a video game before.
Yeah, I think it's easy to figure out. I think it's fun. I think it's one of those games that you start playing and then suddenly it's 6 hours later. You haven't slept in 3 days, you're still sitting at your computer. All walks of life.
But you wouldn't just I would hand them Mario.
See, but I feel like Mario requires a skill level that some people might find frustrating.
What do you mean?
Look, I love Mario, don't get me wrong. Princess Peach is about to come out and I'm so excited.
It is. She looks so fucking cute. But
I played the only other iteration of a Peach game, which was on the 3D, or yeah, was it 3DS? It might have just been the regular DS, but I loved it. It was
Don't know, didn't own one.
But yeah, so like love Mario, but I think that sometimes if you can't beat it, it might be too hard, and then you might not want to play it.
I'm talking, but like that is the easiest game to pick up. There are 2 buttons.
Yeah, but stuff's trying to kill you all the time. You gotta jump over lava, there's fire pits.
And you gotta do math and shit in The Sims. What are you talking about?
I've never done math in The Sims. I just cheat and give myself all the money.
But if you've never done that before, you're not gonna know.
I don't know. It was not the first video game I ever played, but it was definitely like, it is like my childhood game. I've played every iteration of that game all the way to now. EA, take my money.
Oh, I forgot that EA bought it. Bummer. Because EA is not the greatest company in the world or anything.
No,
But like,
they sure aren't.
why wouldn't you go with like I'm not telling you to do like Star Fox, like because that gets complicated, right? But like there's 2 buttons. There's jump and go. Like,
Yeah, that can be hard for some people.
but managing hunger and happiness and does my sim want to fuck or are they just sleepy? Like what?
I stand by my statement. I will say though, I think, okay, so here's in my defense. It
Go
might
on.
not be it might not defend me very much. My household growing up was not a Nintendo household.
Mhm.
The first video game system that was in my household was a PlayStation original.
Sure.
So watched my mom play Tomb Raider. We played Crash Bandicoot was my game. That
Sure.
was my platformer of choice. So those were the games that maybe formed my childhood a little bit more. I played Mario when I got Game Boy. And,
Sure.
You know, but I was older. I was, tween-ish.
Okay.
So perhaps that has formed my answer to some degree. I didn't mean to disappoint you so deeply. Oh my goodness.
I'm not disappointed. No. It's just shock because that's not where my brain went at all. My brain was just like, pick a basic game that requires if it's more than like 2 buttons, it's gonna get complicated. I'm not like, hey, here's Castlevania 1, go for it. Like you're gonna hate yourself, right? Like, because that game sucks. I love it, but it sucks.
I just think that every level of gamer, like whether you're like a casual gamer or like a hardcore gamer, has dabbled in The Sims to some degree, has played The Sims, or that's been like the thing that gets them into like PC gaming as a whole. Like, so I just think that if you sit down and you kind of give someone that creative freedom, I mean, Roller Coaster Tycoon, that's a good place to start too.
You like these management style games, like
I do it for a living too. I can't stop myself.
See, I do Power Wash Simulator, so that's fair. But also, like, I don't know, like my brain wants to go with like, let me start with something that is so simple and you can pick it up and you don't need to like manage, you don't need to like think about stats. The only stat you need in Mario is like your lives. You don't even need to collect coins if you don't want to.
There's definitely been times in my life where I've been stuck on a Mario level. Maybe this is informing my decision.
The points mean nothing, you know, like
the points mean nothing. That's fair. So I take it your answer then is Mario.
Yeah, you gotta go classic Mario.
Yeah. Totally fair.
I don't know, man. Oh, golly, that's a real Okay, well, best Pokemon generation for you. What do you think?
I mean, you can never go wrong with the classics, and I do like this generation that just came out with Scarlet and Violet.
Scarlet and Violet.
I really love Sprigatito, and I am a true water starter always, except for in this particular instance, in which I could not pass up on the grassy kitty because he was so cute.
It was cute.
But I do have to say, probably whatever I want to say it's 3rd or 4th generation, which is Gold and Silver.
Oh.
So the remake Heart Gold and Soul Silver. I don't think it's 2nd. I think it might be 3rd.
I thought Ruby and Sapphire were 3rd, but I could be wrong about that.
But those two, Heart Gold and Soul Silver, were like my favorite remakes, and they're like coming up on being old enough to get remade again. And I'm just like sitting here every time they announce stuff, and I'm like, please let me get new Gold and Silver. You got to play in like 2 very different areas, but like depending on which one, like, you got to start on different sides. There were 16 gyms instead of just 8. Like, it's the perfect game.
Yeah.
So whichever one that one is, that one's my favorite. I think that's when you get my favorite Pokemon is Mareep. Fluffy.
Mareep? Aw.
Yes. He's adorable.
That is adorable.
Yeah. I get confused when he becomes Ampharos, because how do we get from there to there? But, you know.
A sheep just turns into a kangaroo type thing. Yeah.
Like a giant like lizard for no reason. Yeah. But like I feel the same way when you like start talking about like Dratini to Dragonite. I'm just like, how did we...
I just like that he goes... Orange is one of my favorite colors, so I'm just like, oh, he's a big orange idiot. I love him.
We're like delicate water noodles, and then suddenly we're a big orange dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just, you know, like, yeah, because Dratini and Dragonair, like, there's these like, beautiful like water lizards, and they have like the beautiful little wings on their ears, and then he turns into a big orange idiot. And I'm like, I kind of want to hug him, you know.
He's like, hello, I'm here, and it's like, oh, but he's also like super powerful, so it's just like
he is one of the strongest. Yeah. It's true. It's very true. If you could vacation anywhere right now and pretend political climate doesn't exist, where would you like to go?
My answer is forever and always New Orleans.
New Orleans, huh?
Yes. So we went for the first time last March, and it is the greatest place I've ever been. It's beautiful. Everything is old and haunted, and the food is amazing, and it's like a whole different freaking world. And I think about it every day since we've left. Like, how do I go back? Like,
how do I get back there?
How do I get back there right now? So that is my forever always answer.
That's a good answer, honestly. New Orleans is good. I'd probably want to like leave and go to like Italy. I'd probably want to just get out of here for a hot minute.
Yeah.
And I could truly like pretend that my climate, like political climate, doesn't exist because I'd be out of the States, you know?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have to think about it so much.
So
I
you
have
guys
to-
eating pasta.
Oh my god. And the work, my work that I do accepts the insurance that comes with being in the military, TRICARE, which is terrible, but we accept it, and it is a constant, like, weirdly political climate sometimes
Yeah, I'm sure.
because they're veterans, and you know, at some point our government decided that it's easier to celebrate the veterans than to take care of them. So, you know,
Yeah.
let me hop off my soapbox for a second. And if you had to fight one video game character in a steel cage, who would it be and why? Do I feel remorse for beating up this character? Like, because I'm gonna go with like a soft and fluffy character so that I can win. But
And why is it Mia Winter?
that would be spooky.
You know what? That's fair. That is who I'd want to fight. She's the worst.
She does. Yeah.
She got, like, you lied to your husband about what your job was. You brought him into the craziest situation ever, got him killed and turned into a mold man, you know? And then when you guys finally got free, you fought with him about a bunch of stuff for no reason.
Right. No, she was not
You
cool.
know? She was not a nice lady, and Ethan Winters deserved better. That's me on my soapbox.
I mean, he did some things pretty well, you know?
yeah.
Like,
His
and-
hand back together was
well, that was disgusting. But also like we were playing it on Tank Bros. We were playing Village on Tank Bros. And there's this one point where Dami Mommy takes your head and just like slams you through the floor. And I just remember being like, thank you.
I think all of us thought that same thing. Yep.
Just-
Like,
just-
we're supposed to be running away from her, but I kind of want to run to her.
Just weirdly for it.
Yeah.
Didn't know that about myself, but
I think Ethan was weirdly for it too.
I mean, he just like stood up and just doused himself in green and was like, one more time.
Hit himself with the goo, and he's good to go.
And that goo is just everywhere for some reason. Why do we keep leaving this stuff around? We would succeed if Ethan couldn't heal himself.
He's literally putting his hand back on. That's crazy. It's too powerful.
I sliced that shit off.
It stitched his sleeve together too on his jacket.
That was also impressive.
Yeah.
What can't the goo do? I'm still trying to think of another person I would fight. I don't know. Can I fight like Lan from Mega Man Battle Network? Because he's like a 9-year-old. Like, I can take him.
I'm gonna whoop this 9-year-old's ass.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, I feel like I could take out a 9-year-old pretty, like, it'd be a really quick steel cage match.
You'd be like, yeah, but we pay-per-viewed for this.
Like, I can't fight in cyberspace. Especially against a guy who has an arm cannon. But can I kick the shit out of a 9-year-old who keeps sticking his head in business that he shouldn't be? Yeah. Actually, I don't know
Yeah,
how
it's
old
gotta
he
be
is,
two.
but
For all intents and purposes, we'll go with 9.
Yeah. Sora? You'd fight me, Sora? That's awful. I don't think he deserves it. He kind of got thrown into everything too. As far as I know, those games are so confusing. Oh, so you see, Kefka would kick the shit out of everybody, though. Kefka literally turns into a god. Ironically, because he wants to kill all gods, but that's beside the point. It's not important. It's not super important. Did you come up with any questions, Miss Sky?
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
If you had one piece of solid streaming advice, not a thread, for somebody just starting out, what would that advice be?
Don't do follow for follow.
It's fair. Smart.
Don't do follow for follow. Don't do support for support. Don't do any of that stuff. It doesn't work. You'll get follows.
Yeah.
You'll get
Nobody's
follows,
watching.
but they won't watch you. They won't watch you. Like, and it does seem like a really far away thing to sometimes get to that like first 50 or whatever, but it follow for follow doesn't work.
No.
And people disguise it so many ways too.
No, and I feel like that first 50 is like really, it's a gauge. If you can get organically 50 people to be interested enough, you know what I mean? Then
Yeah.
It forces you to put work into your content.
Yeah. Yeah, and because I would never be like, oh, you have to have a camera or you have to have the like $9,000 microphone, or you know, you have to have a certain like people like aggressively okay gaming is a fantastic example of like just networking and making good content, and like literally was streaming from a PlayStation and got like 1,000 followers.
Yeah.
Like with like the little PlayStation camera, like
Yeah. All things are possible if you just put the effort in.
what's your piece of solid streaming advice and not a thread?
Not a thread.
Also, I refuse to download threads.
Oh yeah. I think that it would be play the games that make you happy.
Yeah.
Play games that you have fun playing, and because you're having fun, other people will have fun watching.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Don't play a game exclusively because it's popular.
Yeah. It's hard to get noticed in that space too. You know, if you're playing something that's got hundreds and hundreds of people watching, how do you, you know,
And
be seen?
Yeah. Because it's unfortunate the way that like the Twitch marketing and whatnot algorithm works, because like they're gonna put up the people who have more stuff. They're gonna show like this person has 200 some odd viewers, which I would assume most of them deserve. Most of them deserve that, and you know, but that makes Twitch more money, so that's what they care about.
That, and I think, make genuine friendships. It's always nice to network and to, you know, be involved in things, but make genuine connections with people, be actual friends. You never know, you might meet your very best friend online, and that's okay, you know.
Yeah.
It's the way it works sometimes, you know.
Totally.
I've met some of my absolute best friends in, you know, this weird online space, and those are my ride or dies.
Yeah. That's what's kind of cool about the parasocial side of it, I think, is because like, yes, there can be some weirdness every so often and people who you would never see coming, but meeting some genuine people, you know, and being like, oh my god, like
Yeah.
it's legitimate.
That you wouldn't have the opportunity to have met in the outside world, and it's just
Probably
there
not,
it is.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, like I don't know why this is specifically, but I met a ton of people in Canada, you know? And I wanna tread like get up there somehow and make like a
Canada's
little thing of
wonderful.
it.
Yeah, it's a cool place to visit.
Like just hit Toronto up and just be like, what's up? A lot of people around that area apparently that I don't know why I'm marketed to Toronto, but here I am.
Yeah, your content is clearly being focused in this area. That's so interesting.
I'm only marketed to Canadian Twitch, I guess.
Yeah.
You can find your people here in these spaces, and that's great. Absolutely. Yeah. And it doesn't even have to be because you love the same games or anything like that. You know, you can, and like you said, like play what makes you happy.
Yeah.
I'm playing Final Fantasy 16 because I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. That's the way to do it, you know? Sometimes it's just got to be about what brings you joy, and your joy then brings other people joy.
Right. And it's like I know that I want to play Remake or Rebirth or whatever, but I'll do that on my own time.
I think that's important too, is to keep some games for yourself.
Absolutely.
If you make video games all work and no play, they stop being fun. So have some games you play alone.
Yeah, I played all of Ragnarok on my own.
Yeah.
And that was totally worth it. Plus I have daddy issues, so that would have been like a whole thing. But you know, it's neither here nor there.
No, I get it. There are some games that are. It was BioShock Infinite for me, because it came out right when my daughter was born, and when babies are teeny tiny, they don't do much except for sleep. So I would just put her on my chest and I would play Infinite. And
That's awesome.
the ending, if for anybody who's it's a very old game at this point, but the ending, as I'm holding, my newborn child, and I'm bawling because it was so relevant to me in that moment. Like, terrible. Yeah. Still, that one still gets me a little bit every time.
Sure, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. No, Ragnarok, it's been a while since I had like legitimate tears, but Ragnarok almost got me. It was almost there. That ending.
Misfortune at all of us.
Woof, woof, woof. If you had to be the right hand to a villain, which would you align with?
Is it to be a villain from a video game, or can it be any villain?
I guess it could be any villain.
I really love Ursula. It's my girl.
Would you be like the third of the Flotsam and Jetsam type of thing? Okay.
Absolutely.
Ooh, that's a tough question. Any villain? I'm trying to think if there were any villains that like, because here's what a lot of movies have done lately is they like create a villain that actually makes like really good points, and then they always do like one thing. They're like, he's still a bad guy, I guess, like. So like great example is Black Panther, right? Killmonger is like, we should be sharing our resources with the world because we have an infinite amount of money and we could really help our community and we could like do all these amazing things with the people. And like the good guys were like, no, we can't, and then he's like, well, I'm gonna kill my girlfriend or whatever. And then everyone's like, oh, that's why he's the bad guy. And you're like, but no, he was making some really good points earlier. Like,
he had us in the first half. He really did. Yeah. But like, I think those are sometimes the best kinds of villains. I think like the most beautiful example of that is always for me, like Tony Soprano is like a really bad guy.
Oh, he's a piece of shit.
Likable,
yeah.
But he's so likable that you root for him anyway.
Right.
Even though he's a bad guy.
Yeah. Yeah, recently I was, this is a little bit ago, I was dating somebody who was just rewatching all of it, and I got like sucked in.
Yeah, it's a good one. If
I
you've
got-
never watched it, give it a try.
I got really sucked in. I was just like, wow, he sucks. Like he's he's really a bad guy, but
But you don't want him to get caught.
no, I don't want him to I don't want him to die, you know. I don't want him to anything
Yeah.
bad. I like bad stuff does happen, but like I don't want, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess he'd be a good person to have on your side too, you know.
Yeah.
Negan, I could fix him. Maybe.
You can't.
I doubt
know
it,
that you
but
can.
give it a shot. Give it a shot. Something about being gruff. The beginning of God of War 4 almost got me when he was cutting down the tree. Oh, for real. Yeah. There are moments, man. Woo! Those daddy issues will come out, especially in God of War. God damn it. We're like, oh, that's what a dad is. Neat. Gerard Butler in Law Abiding Citizen is one of my favorite. Is he the bad guy or sort of thing? I don't remember ever seeing that movie.
I mean, I don't think
think.
he's the bad guy. I think he's the good guy to me.
I was gonna
He
say, if
definitely
it's
does
Gerard
not
Butler,
law abide.
That's a solid
but
point.
Sometimes.
yeah. Well, I mean, if
Yeah.
he does horrendous things and you're behind him, it's still that's the Tony Soprano.
That's the Tony Soprano effect.
Yeah, Tony Soprano does the same thing. He's like constantly having affairs. You know, he's killing people
Left and right. Just
constantly.
yeah. But he's charismatic.
But he seems like a nice guy. He does legitimately. He tries his best to take care of his kids. You know.
Yeah.
He messes up sometimes,
to
but who doesn't? Like the one where he like goes and like picks up his kid, his daughter from like the party and stuff. And instead they like go to the hotel and he's just like, just sleep it off, you know, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, that, like, come on, he's being a good guy.
Yeah. And then he like, puts a hit out on somebody and you're like,
Right. And then he goes to the payphone and is just like, get rid of this guy. And then you're like, oh, but come on, man.
yeah. And you're like, oh shit. There he goes again.
I guess so. Fine. All right, let's see if there are any other questions for anybody else, from anybody else. Again, what we've been talking about, what we, anything that could be from anything. My one of my other ones that I thought of earlier was, who's the worst slasher?
How can you forgive me so easily? I thought you would be furious.
The
with
worst
me.
slasher.
Mm-hmm.
I was never angry with you. I was sad.
That's hard for me.
because
I
was
love them
afraid
all
you lost
to
your
some
way.
degree. There are definitely some like B level ones that I don't maybe get down with. You know what? I don't super love Leatherface in general.
Oh,
I find him upsetting, and his iterations much more so. Though I did like the newest movie because it was just kind of like really over the top.
Mhm.
He used a lot of cherry soda. But yeah, he's probably my least favorite.
Leatherface specifically. Okay,
Yeah.
that's fair. That's fair. It's like because there's not much more to him, I guess.
No, and he's just kind of like a menace,
Yeah.
but like without good cause, I guess. And like I don't know, his lore doesn't hold up in the same way. Like I love like Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
Hilarious. All
Oh,
of
yeah.
his lore, outrageous. He
Oh,
calls everyone bitch.
Yeah.
And it's good stuff, you know.
It is. It is good stuff. Yeah. Thoughts on Art the Clown though?
I can't do Terrifier movies. I did the first one, and it disturbed me on such a level so deeply that I refused to watch any other ones.
There's only the second one. There's only there's only the Terrifier 2.
I've never seen it, and I won't. I can do horror movies. I can do gross. There was something about it that like so viscerally upset me that I said nope.
Is it
I
the
watched
Upside
the
Down
first one.
girl?
I didn't love that for sure.
Didn't love it.
Yeah, did not care for that particular scene. No, I just like, I don't like the funny thing where he's like always trying to like tell a joke while it's
Oh, really?
happening either. Like, yeah, I don't know. He upset me, and then like him being around in the dark, I like looked over my shoulder walking to my car, like, because he scared the shit out of me.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, the third one's going to be
Sometimes.
Christmas themed, if that helps.
I don't think that it does.
All right. Well, I don't know. I kind of like because they did the thing. It was like a Kickstarter for the second one or whatever, and they just kept having to do stretch goals because they were like, "Listen, we'll put as much gore as you want into it, but here you gotta hit these goals." And people just kept throwing money at it, and they're like, "Okay,
Yeah.
if that's what you want."
I don't like a scenario where I can't figure out how I might escape, and I don't think that there was no escaping him. Like, he was everywhere, and I hated that.
That is fair.
Yeah.
That is
Deeply
fair.
disturbing.
What was your least favorite horror game to play?
My least favorite. Gosh, I love them all so much for so many different reasons. I didn't super love, and it's going to be like a super niche game, September 7th. Now, it's by Amiga Games, which I usually like all of their stuff, but I don't like when the puzzles are like so difficult that you can only solve them with some like weird insider knowledge. Like, you have to look it up. That's not fun. I like a puzzle. I like to get stumped a little bit, but I don't like when I can't. Like when there's no way to figure it out to move the game forward, and nobody wants to watch me try to solve a puzzle for an hour and a half.
Right, just like I'm just Googling, and they're like, ugh.
So that's probably my answer.
Least favorite? I don't know. I thought like that's tough. Granted,
Either they're bad or good.
I haven't played a ton, granted, but like because I haven't even played like 5 nights, you know, like I haven't even done that. I enjoyed them all for like slightly different reasons. I guess I played a bit of God's Basement, and that was like okay, I guess.
I love God's Basement. It really, the back half of God's Basement is where it's at. The front half is a little.
Well, maybe that's why, because I didn't finish it. I was just kind of like, eh.
I'm pretty sure I've played it like 3 times.
I got a couple of times, but like,
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, no, the back half of that's crazy. Like the climax of that game is worse than the front half.
All right, noted. Can we see Sky's Stanley Cup? It looks pretty.
She's the neon. She just came out. My
very
light is
unicorn.
Very bright. Yes, she's got a lime green boot. You can't tell because the color is very off, but yes, she's lovely. She keeps me very hydrated.
Hell yeah. Drink goblins, how many drinks do you have in front of you right now? I have 2 empties, but I have my water here too.
Currently I just have my water, but I did have coffee.
Perfect.
Yes. No,
Like
always 2, sometimes 3.
It's usually
at a time.
it's usually 2. Sometimes 3 when I get I hit a Costco and get like the big pack of Gatorade, but not always. Not always. Did either of you guys see Thanksgiving? It was ironically one of the best slashers I've seen since Scream 1 came out back in the day.
I'm not.
I don't think I ever saw that one either.
That like just came out too.
I was gonna say, didn't that come out like last year?
Patrick Dempsey.
No, I never saw that one. But I bet it's on like Shudder or something.
I love Shudder. For all the good bad movies go to die.
Oh yeah. And in horror from specifically 1930 something, and you're like, yeah, I guess. Favorite fast food restaurant and favorite sit down restaurant. I assume by sit down you mean like chain restaurant. I would assume that. And fast food, I'd probably just go Wendy's.
Yeah. Yeah, they have the best chicken nuggets.
Spicy nuggets. Oh yeah.
Yeah. That used to be my routine. I would go to the gym and then I would swing through the Wendy's as they were opening so I could get hot, fresh nuggets. Just a 6-piece. You need protein after the gym.
Sure.
And then any proper table service.
Oh, I don't know. It'd have to be a local spot then.
You know what? I mean, there is a chain that I do love that is probably weird. Bob Evans. They're not everywhere.
I don't know what that
There are
is.
some places. It's like a breakfast. It's like a chain diner, kind of like, but like almost like an upscaled version to some degree. It's good food, and I love a good breakfast for dinner type situation.
I can get down with breakfast or dinner for sure.
Yeah.
Favorite sit down. There is a la carte taco spot. That's a sit down place, and there's only one, so I don't want to dox myself, but it's incredible, and they have like the menu's massive, but it's like there's like 30 some odd different types of tacos, and you can put them on like the different tortillas, and it's just fantastic, and it's a la carte, so you can get like one beef and one chicken and one like chorizo or kind of whatever your poison is.
Wonderful.
It's so good. It's so good. It's really pricey, but it's incredible. Favorite musical movie? Repo? No, I'm kidding.
Moulin Rouge, hands down.
Oh, Moulin Rouge is good.
Mm-hmm.
Moulin Rouge is fantastic.
Yeah, that was an easy one. Minkit is actually my cousin. We grew up.
Oh, there you go.
It would end, and then we would just repeat it.
Just start it over. Yeah.
Start it over. Right from the top. Knew all the words, knew all the songs.
Oh, sure. Favorite all musicals? Because that includes like cartoons and Disney, and that's tough. I think just for time's sake, I'll go with Hunchback of Notre Dame. Because the music in that movie is
another level.
Fantastic. It's unreal. The music specifically, like the movie, there's plot holes and whatnot, but it's like it's so good otherwise. It's so good. You can't like sit here and be like, oh, Hellfire, whatever. No. Incredible.
Yeah, you can't be lukewarm on that movie.
You can be hot like Hellfire. And I mean, and I watched Repo recently, so I've been kind of like, oh, I love this movie.
Paris Hilton really goes hard in that movie.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. She's not even in it for all that much, but like she's
but she's very memorable.
Yeah, absolutely. Anastasia? Anastasia's good too. Although less of a musical. If I recall correctly.
I feel like you either were an Anastasia girly or you weren't, and I just wasn't.
I didn't own it, so.
Yeah.
I always wanted to see Repo, but never did. Oh, do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
It's not like a movie masterpiece, but it's fun.
No.
Yeah.
No. Do the Devil's Carnivals count? Can those count as musicals too? I like both the Devil's Carnival. It's the same guys who did Repo, so.
Yeah.
Who was right, Tony Stark or Captain America?
That question feels very pointed.
Is
sir.
it pointed? Is it at you?
Yes, it is at me. It's, that's gonna end our friendship for sure.
I'm still your friend. I just want to hear your answer.
Here's my thing, right?
Okay.
I think that it's wrong that Captain America decides to not only betray Tony Stark, but really he doesn't see it from Tony's perspective at all. I feel like he's very hard-headed in that particular instance because he feels so emotionally about Bucky. And so he kind of doesn't see that there is, at the very least, a small amount of merit to why Tony Stark is upset. And I think that he is one of those scenarios where it's like, you're making some valid points. Perhaps your execution is bad.
Your
But, yeah,
execution's
so-
a little off.
a little off. But I'm Team Tony, and me and Matt will fight about this till the end of time.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting.
He shouldn't have put them in ocean jail.
I mean, where else are you gonna put him? Sky jail? Like, I put my dog in Sky prison when he's bad.
Oh boy.
I have to, you put him when he has his harness on and he's like not behaving, and I just have to, just gotta. Well, he's 100 pounds, so he's pretty hard to lift, but like, just like,
Yeah.
I just kind of hold him up, and he just kind of has to.
Yeah. Give up.
And he'll fight. He'll fight a little bit, and then he'll just be like, okay.
Time
And I'm
for
like, I
me.
know you hate this, dude. I know you hate this. So let's not. Who was I don't know if either one of them were completely right.
Yeah, I feel like there was some merit to both sides.
There were certainly
I
merits to both
understood.
sides.
Yeah, where everybody was coming from.
Yeah.
I just felt really sad that it felt like he forgot that Tony was also his friend.
Well, they were homies.
They were homies.
They ended up being homies later again, but
They do.
they were that fight scene with all three of them, I think is
Oh, it's
prime.
great.
Civil War is probably the best of most of the Avengers line IMO.
It's a pretty good one.
In my humble opinion. What's up, Ego? Welcome in. Let's see. What else do we got? What's your favorite thing you've ever created?
I mean, I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't say my child. She's pretty cool. Certainly the craftiest project I've ever completed.
I definitely made this thing.
Yeah. From scratch even. So,
It's true. It took a minute, but I did it.
Yeah, and she's pretty funny. So, love that.
I love that for me.
Love getting roasted in my own house.
No, I do like that. That's pretty funny. That was a good answer. Everything I've ever created? It's so funny because like there were some TikToks and stuff that I've made that I'm like really proud of, and like I took like a lot of time and a lot of effort and stuff like that, and like I work hard on them, and then they like don't do all that well. And then my most popular TikTok was a joke I thought of in like 8 seconds and did in 2 takes. Like
It's the stuff that gets you.
and I'm like, what the fuck? Like but I'm proud of it in a way too, because it was just like, well, I'm glad that I could still be funny in those bursts, and I don't have to really think too hard about those kinds of things.
The algorithm is a fickle and funny god.
It is so weird sometimes. It is so weird because you never know what's gonna hit. So like, I just feel like just put it all out there. You'll find out.
Yep.
You'll find out. What's up, G-Spot? How are you? It's hard. Like, cause like I don't know, and maybe this is my own self-esteem coming out, imposter syndrome, whatever. But I'm like, am I like not hot enough for the algorithm? Is it like is it because like I'm not consistent, or I'm not like at noon on the dot every day? You know, like what is it?
Yeah.
Gosh,
So
dang
strange. I mean, my most popular video on my current TikTok is was playing Final Fantasy X, and the outfits are sometimes really interesting in that game.
Love
Most
them.
of them don't have like the back part.
No, why would they?
Yeah, and so I'm just zooming into somebody missing the back part of their outfit, going hello, and took off. It's like an 8-second video of like nothing. I'm not even in it.
Right.
It's just, but that's the one that went, and that's it. That just is the way that the cookie crumbles, I guess.
My most popular is like an 8-second video.
Yeah, I sometimes feel like the shorter, almost the better, but then like, I don't know. I can't pretend to understand it.
But you don't like, but that's not always the case, because my next biggest one is like about a 30-second or so one. So like, but
Yeah,
then TikTok rolled out that thing where they were like, post longer videos because that'll get you more views and stuff like that. And they started suppressing everything that was like below a minute.
I feel like that can't be true, because I got to tell you, with my attention span, a 3-minute video, absolutely not. I'm gone by the time the minute's out. I'm just
No, and well, it was like a day of them saying that, and then they got enough feedback. Everyone was like, "No, I'm not doing that," and then they were like, "Okay," you know.
Yeah,
because like
you're scrolling, you're gonna just move on.
The way that I did that particular video was like, all right, well, like all my jokes are like 12 seconds max, so like you're getting a video of me sitting here doing my notes at work. Like, that's it. That's a minute straight of that. There's no way.
No. 10-minute videos are even more insane. I never want to watch anything.
Fuck?
10 minutes.
Right? Even those movies that they can like suck you in, I'm like, I'm not watching 10 minutes of this.
No, absolutely not. Zero shot.
Not gonna happen. Barely 3 minutes. It's gotta be.
Yeah.
It's gotta be something I
Mine was
truly
the thing,
love.
is it was 6 seconds. 6 seconds was beautiful. That was everything you needed.
Right?
Some people would tell such elaborate stories in 6 seconds.
Mm-hmm. But I am slightly proud of the joke. I was like, that'll be funny, and then it was my my best doing TikTok ever. And then another one, my second best one is me well, I think it's my third, but or whatever, but it's my I just reminded everyone that that Craig Owens of Chiodos and Drugs, the band Drugs, not doing drugs, but the band Drugs, fame, his real name is Gregory.
Is that act like for real?
That is 100% real.
Oh, shame on his parents.
And I was just like, it's real. Do with that information what you will. And then I tagged him, and he commented and was like, it's true.
Oh my gosh. Not Gregory. It's terrible.
It's a terrible name.
You know what's crazy though is they let you name them anything. Like nobody stops you. There's no like process that you go through where somebody goes yes and no. They just whatever you put down, they go okay. Should be a system.
There should be
Like,
some kind of vetting.
Yeah.
So true. Nothing's stopping you from naming your kid Skeletor. Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Nobody will say anything.
Yeah, they're not. They might give you they might like take an extra second to process what you said, but they'll type it up. Favorite comfort show? I don't know. I don't watch a ton of television, honestly.
It's kind of a toss-up. I mean, like show that I can watch over and over again and always, I guess, makes me happy would probably be Mad Men. Love that show.
Oh, but it turned into Sad Men.
It did turn into Sad Men, but it turned into powerful women,
It did. Very true.
and I loved that.
It did.
I actually have a full set of Mad Men Funko Pops back there. Me too. I love Funko Pops that are all like weird niche things.
No, I love that.
Yeah. So
No, Mad Men
Like
turned
most
into
back there.
Mad Men turned into Sad Men, and I was like, oh, this is getting really hard to watch.
it did get a little intense there for a minute. Don Draper is another character though that he's like not a good guy.
He's not a
But
good guy.
You like him and you want to see his redemption, you know, in some way, form, or another.
I guess his redemption is because he becomes really, really sad.
He does. Well, he should be. He does some.
He deserves it. Yeah, no. He deserves the sadness, but it was like, I remember being like, this is
Yeah.
just getting hard to watch because like everyone's just self-destructing constantly. And I'm like, oh, is anybody gonna like come out on top? Because it certainly doesn't feel this way.
Joan and Peggy do. Peggy's exit from that show, her final scene is probably my favorite scene of anything of all time.
Spoilers.
That's a
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's a good one. You can also buy a cake at the grocery store when it's not your birthday. No one checks. You make an excellent point, Scuba. Nothing's stopping you from just going and buying a cake.
Cake can be had at any time for any reason. And
Or no reason.
Except
The
for I
reason,
want
exactly. The reason could be I wanted to buy a cake.
cake.
Okay. Well, I know it is awfully late for you. But 100%. Boom. Look at all those links. And you should click them.
Goodness.
You should click them. If you're not following Sky, Miss Spooky Bees over here, make sure that you're doing that. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. It was so fun.
I'm glad you think so. I had a good time. I didn't find, I would post your link tree if you had one, but I didn't see one.
I don't.
Okay, great.
I direct everything right through Twitch, you know, and then my Twitter, and then everything else is kind of pretty.
No, it's totally fine. I was looking. I was like, okay, you know, like looking through your pinned posts and all this stuff. It's fine. It's fine. It's
Yeah,
fine. It's fine.
We've got some stuff planned for new stream space coming up soon.
Hey, coming your way.
Yeah.
Perhaps some new lighting, or do we get a no?
I want to do some lighting,
Okay.
but I'm not really sure how yet.
Mm,
Definitely want to like light bookshelf, I think.
okay.
Maybe
Okay.
just to kind of maybe just both shelves get like some LEDs.
They have those just like bars that you can just like sit on the ground.
That's what I was thinking.
Mhm.
Something like that, just to give it a little more oomph back there, because it is coming a little dark from this angle right now.
You're the
Well,
star of the
it's
show
working
though,
out.
so like you're nice and bright right up front, so that's the important piece here.
Yeah, but I've got so many cool skeletons back there.
There's so many skeleton.
There's so many skeletons.
Any skeleton creature that I end up having to give a voice to always goes to my Papyrus from Undertale voice.
Love that game.
And I can't, like, it's one of the voices that I can just do for hours,
You get stuck in it.
and I get stuck in it all the time.
Yep.
And any skeleton, I'm talking in Skyrim or any horror game or anything like that, any skeleton has Papyrus's voice.
That's totally fair.
I just can't help myself. For those who are here, thank you for being here. Everyone in chat, thank you so much. Whether you were lurking, hanging out, chatting. Thank you for sharing some of your things that have either happened to you or around you. I really appreciate it. I do TravTalks episodes like this with some consistency. I had like a week where I had like 2 people scheduled, and they were like, "Oh, sorry, my dad died," and the other one was like, "Oh, sorry, I'm sick," or whatever. And it was just like, those are made up excuses, by the way. That's not actually what happened. But it was like, oh my god. So if you all would be so lovingly, I'm self-promoting my own channel like an asshole. All the things right there. I got Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and I also have the Discord. And this episode will also go up on YouTube next week. So be sure to check that out. I'm almost at 200 on YouTube, so I'm pretty excited for that. There is a TravTalks episode next week scheduled as well. Not this coming Thursday, but next Thursday. So, thank you all for being here. Thank you. Thank you to Sky over here. And Sky, do you have someone that you'd like us to raid today?
Oh boy, hold on. Let me take a look and see.
You can use my raid emotes. You can use Miss Spooky Bee's raid emotes. You can use anybody's raid emotes. I don't care. As long as you let them know that SuperTrav and Spooky sent ya.
Ooh, okay. Would you like me to just drop it in the chat?
Sure.
Okay.
Chances are I might follow him anyway.
I'm pretty sure that you probably do, but
Feel free. Feel free.
there you go.
Okay.
Oh no, I dropped it in her chat. Oh jeez.
Oh, geez.
Oh jeez.
Oh, no.
I'm getting it together. Allergies have absolutely been beating me up this year.
I do follow Sailor.
Yep.
Wonderful. All right. We are Garnet fans, absolutely. And playing some Chrono Trigger? Come on now. I played Chrono Trigger for the first time on Twitch too. I had never done it before. There we go. All right, we're raiding into Sailor Garnet, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you again, Sky, for being a part of this today.
Thank you so much for having me. I had such a good time.
Like I said, everybody, this episode right now that you're watching right now live will go on YouTube next Monday, so feel free to check that out. Thank you for being here, everybody. Thank you for your questions. Any last thoughts before we send them off?
Keep it creepy and be kind.
Those are lovely. I usually just steal somebody else's sign off. That's so cute. Keep it creepy. That's so cute. Aw, that's so nice. I'm usually just like, next time on Game Grumps, see you later. Like, all right, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.